please don't hear any of this, Brad.
And Dad's like, I got the fuck out of there. I was like, oh man, you didn't partake?
Do you fear death?
Oh, one of the greatest lines of all time.
I've got a job to it. I've got a job to it.
Trumpinator 2020.
Making me 30 signs of red salt.
Listened so much. Are you
That needs two, motherfucker.
They dropped us off and
Down by the bridge.
yeah, and one of them too. And so we snuck in the back fence to get into this motocross race. So we came up walking through the back.
Yeah.
And they had one of those PA systems out there, and they said, "Hey, you guys out there that just snuck in the back, you can pay like everybody else." And you go back out the same way you came in.
You boys just crawl right back out the same hole you crawled in.
So
And
Rick
Les
and I
was with us, and Les just walked over.
Yeah,
and
Les said screw that. He walked
Yeah,
up. Rick and I
walking
ran
back
back
out
through the
there.
hole we came in and came in the right way and
we
paid.
were obedient. We were
That's
right back
funny.
out.
But the point of the story is Bill Eddy was racing. And we didn't know who Bill Eddy was. We just know he was fast, and he was out there winning races.
Wow. You know, Danny Absher used to race out there.
Danny raced motorcycles?
Yeah. Did they have a flat track out
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah. He raced, and in one of his races, a guy crashed and hit a tree. It killed him.
That's
The
what
night
shut the whole
that
thing
he was
down.
racing.
That was in the motocross.
Yeah.
So we did that, I think.
Danny was racing that day, and Watson, his friend Andy Watson,
Yeah.
was racing too.
Yeah.
Andy wasn't. Didn't he race against us when we were
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
Bobcat?
Yeah,
yeah.
his dad was out there all the time. I mean, his mom and dad was out supporting him. You know, they spend their last dime on anything he wanted. Brand new bike, helmets, equipment, whatever.
And his dad knew a little bit about everything.
Yeah,
He
I
wouldn't mind
remember.
telling you either. He,
And his name was Bob.
Well, guys, y'all ready to get started?
Yeah.
Let's roll, baby.
All right,
I mean-
episode 62. Your second time back.
yeah.
Thanks for coming back, Rick. Mark, your second time back.
Yes.
First time for you, old man.
All right.
I don't know how you talked me into this, but
I finally got my dad on, everybody. Bill Durham,
you can't
first
see that
appearance.
hand. Okay. There we
You
go.
got oriented there.
Yeah.
Well, y'all are already rolling in the conversation. You just keep going.
I figured,
I'm just
yeah.
here to listen.
Yeah, you had us going there.
Did you get any feedback from your first episode, Rick? I got a lot of feedback on it.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't get a lot. Mostly, like I say, it was all just people that, like I was talking about with Jake, just said, you're the same guy you were in high school. You know? It was
Did that surprise you any?
Oh, not really. I think my core values are pretty much still the same. I mean, there's a lot of things I don't do now that I used to do, but as far as the core
I'd
values,
hope so.
The core values,
Haven't heard some of these stories y'all talking about.
the core values are still the same anyway.
Did you hear anybody watch yours, Mark? Did you get any feedback
The
on
only one is Jake. He's the only one.
it? Yeah.
Not me.
Did you listen to it?
I called you
Oh, that's right.
right
Yeah,
after I watched it.
that's
Y'all-
right.
Y'all's memories are getting
Boy,
so
very
bad you
good.
don't even know.
Man, I'm easy to forget.
They're the only two. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't even watch it.
Yeah.
oh,
you know.
You
Uh,
remember it though?
I remember it. I just don't. I don't think I ever got it. You know, I got Rick's. I watched Rick's, but I didn't watch mine, which
I'll get you a link
I
to
didn't
it.
need to.
Once
Yeah,
you
you
get
know.
on YouTube, if you can find his channel on YouTube, I sent Jake both your guys separately, and then I sent him the channel, and it has every one of them in numerical
Really?
order that you can
How
watch.
about it? No, Jake was seemed to be pretty happy with it. You know.
Did you learn anything about either one of these guys listening to those? Or?
Not so much Rick, but I did Mark, and when I called Mark and
Yeah, I remember you calling me now
and talking to him about
Dad.
some of the stories. Yeah, his dad. You know how his dad got over here. I knew he had a tough time there, but all the places they had lived before, and then also he and Jeff going down to Mexico. You know the trips, which they quit going now. I didn't know any of that.
Oh, we used to go every year. Every year. That was our
Oh, I remember you talking about how long
family
the trip
vacation. You know, we'd spend a week down there every year. You know, I had all my first cousins. I had a first cousin die last night from there. But yeah, a lot of people. I may have told you this in that first podcast. A lot of people that I went to school with, they didn't have any clue that I was Mexican. Nobody ever really knew.
Yeah.
You know, nobody questioned me about it. Of course, my dad, he never come to any of the ball games or nothing. You know,
Right.
he was a hard worker. They gathered eggs and they stayed in the house.
You and I went for about an hour and a half, and I feel like we only got up to like 1985. So we got to do 4 or 5 more of these things to get all of it covered, Mark. Can't leave any stone unturned now.
So, but people ask me about. I've had people ask me about Mark, and I'd say, man, I can remember him selling hogs when he was in junior high. Of course, he did. You what? 6th grade is when you started. Prairie Grove?
Started Prairie Grove 7th.
7th grade.
Yeah.
But Mark had to haul eggs, and they had chicken laid eggs or whatever. But I don't know how you got them in the boxes. If you all went and hand-picked them, or was
Put them in buckets.
Yeah, we put in baskets. We'd go gather them by hand, put them in the
That's why
baskets.
he had all those muscles up here on his
Oh,
his
man, we
shoulders
carried-
carrying those eggs a bag
We
bucket.
carried baskets all day.
But then
Those
they put them in these
200
cardboard cases.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
we'd pack them. You know, we'd have to clean them with a little sand block.
And then you put them in the back of that. Was it a Dodge truck?
That old egg truck, yeah, with a,
That
Dodge
somebody
truck.
put a frame that was way built
we
wrong.
we built a plywood camper on this thing. Big thing. We
Sounds
used big
sturdy.
That's how it got
galvanized
built
pipe.
wrong.
galvanized pipe, and put the elbows and all, and cover it with 1/2 inch, 3/4. I think it's 3/4 plywood, and paint it. And then the old Dodge, after a while, he brought that from Chicago when we moved from Chicago. So it needed painting. He was talking about getting somebody to paint it and how much it was going to cost. We couldn't afford it, So me and my brothers told my dad, said, well, if you buy the paint, we'll paint it.
Yeah.
So here he come with some, I don't know, paint from Tractor Supply or something, and we painted with paintbrushes.
Did you really?
Yeah, the whole thing. We mashed it off and painted it with paintbrush, painted it red.
Nice.
But
Well,
that truck lasted forever.
the reason I'm bringing that up is we went to Lincoln to drop the eggs off. And what I remember about that is Mark said, watch this. And anyway, there was so many eggs in the back of this thing in the back that he could wheelie this full-size truck, pull the front wheels off the ground with this thing. And then you had no steering.
Right.
So you had to let off the gas quick.
Yeah, it was loaded down. Well, I used to.
Dangerous.
This was crazy. Mom and Dad would send me with a full load of eggs on that thing during rush hour, what little rush hour there was,
You're right.
to Randall Wobie
Yeah. Yeah.
in Springdale.
Yep.
It was just Randall Road back then. And I'd go all the way up College Avenue, up by the mall,
Yeah.
all the way to Randall Road and deliver those eggs.
By
Yeah,
that
no, no bypass. And dropped them. I hated that. Well, then they opened the hatchery in Lincoln. That was so much closer.
Yeah.
I was taking the Lincoln.
The same truck with the same problem with it.
Yeah.
Tires coming off the ground.
Yeah. I can't believe they sent. I did okay though. I broke a lot of eggs, but I never had a wreck.
There's something.
Yeah. And you remember who used to unload the eggs for me at Lincoln?
Huh.
Steve McClellan and Phil Spiegel.
Really?
Yeah, they worked there at the hatchery at night. After school they worked the hatchery because Phil's dad was a big shot at Tyson. He was over the hatchery.
Gotcha.
Of course, Phil is still at Tyson.
Is
he
he?
just lives
Yeah.
across the road from you, doesn't he?
Yeah. lives
So
up there.
you came to Prairie Grove in 8th grade.
7.
7th.
Actually, the end of my 6th grade year, which was start of the summer,
Okay.
and then started Prairie Grove beginning of my 7th grade year.
Beginning of 7th grade.
Yeah. So really, what we did, so everybody knows this, when Mom and Dad sold their house in Chicago, they told us we're going to move to Arkansas and buy a hotel or something we can all do together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something like a business. So he just come home one day and said, "Hey, we sold the house." I think they sold. This was a 3-story house. It's a pretty nice house. We like it, fit all our kids.
Yeah.
And it sold for $12,000. So it was the middle of the school year. Dad had to finish his job out for a couple months, so we moved to Kentucky and lived with my sister for the rest of. So I went to half of my 6th grade year in Kentucky, and then after the school year was up, we spent maybe a month of the summer. Then my dad finished his job, came and got us. We all went to Arkansas.
Yeah.
And I started my 7th grade year there.
And this was your sister?
Carol, yeah.
Older
That's-
than Rudy?
Oh yeah, she
Yeah.
was the oldest.
Yeah.
She was the oldest. So
Okay. I never met her, I guess.
yeah,
Was there anybody else that was older than Rudy?
yeah. Steve lives in California.
Okay.
So the story goes when we decided to move, when Dad said we're going to Arkansas, because that's where my mother's from originally.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, our hotel turned into a chicken farm where we all gathered eggs together.
Right.
So he said we're gonna move to Arkansas, and Carol said, me and Danny's getting married, and we're moving to Kentucky. So that's what they did. They married before they left, moved to Kentucky, because that's
Gotcha.
where his family's from.
Right.
And there's another story behind that. But then Steve said, I'm not going to Arkansas. There ain't no way. He said, those people over there don't wear shoes, and they're all hillbillies, you know.
Yeah.
So he was just turned 18. He said, Dad said, okay, what's your plans, big boy? He said, I'm going to join the Navy. He said, well, have fun. So he was stationed in California, and he never left. You know, married there and never left. So last year, my sister died. She was 72. And then just about a month ago, my brother-in-law died, her husband. And I went to the funeral. And his best friend was the chief of police of Owenton, little town of Owenton, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. I've known that guy since I've been going down there, many years. They fished together, did everything together. And, of course, he was there, and we got to talking. And I fished with the guy. I used to go on, deliver warrants with him when I'd go to Kentucky. You know, when I was on business, I'd stop. I had customers in Kentucky, so I'd stay with them. We get to talking, and we passed the old Owenton school. He said, yeah, that's where I went to grade school. I said, yeah, guess what? I said, I did too.
Yeah.
When I was in sixth grade, he goes, how old are you? I said, I'm 65. He goes, I'm 65. We get to talking. We were in the same class together.
No kidding.
Me and this chief of police, and I've known him forever. Yeah,
That's
we never
wild.
knew that till just last month.
No kidding.
We figured that out. Yeah. So I probably won't be going back there. I don't have any relatives left there. But
Yeah.
You used to beat him up for his lunch money?
no. Well, it's possible.
That's
I
what
don't
you
remember.
learned
It's possible
in
you
Chicago,
did,
man.
actually.
It's
You
possible
don't
because I got in a
remember.
lot of fights there, and I don't remember him. But yeah, those guys in Kentucky, they didn't like me. You know,
Imagine that.
I wore black socks, and they wore white socks, and they thought I was weird. Mm-hmm. And I talked weird. I talked like
really?
a northerner. Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked like somebody from Chicago. You know. But anyway.
You kind of got a southern accent now.
Oh man, I've been here 50-some years.
Did that just happen naturally, or did you try it on
No,
when
no.
you came
I just,
down here?
When I first came here in 7th grade, all my classmates were going, where are you from?
Where are you
that
from?
accent's weird.
Yeah.
And as I got older, you know, you're in that stage where you start to adapt a dialect or
But isn't that
accent.
funny, though?
Yeah.
How you can
So I
adapt.
eventually started talking like that.
Yeah.
You know, when we were kids, when I was young, a little kid, me, Jeff, Rudy, we all spoke fluent Spanish.
You're right. Yep.
And my father couldn't speak English. But as he got more English, we got less Spanish. But I still speak Spanish, but Jeff's a little broken because we don't use it. You have to use it.
Yeah.
And I use it in the car business a lot.
Yeah, right.
And real estate too. But anyway, I eventually started talking like the rest of the group, you know.
Yeah.
I just didn't get that twangy. Like Bill, he don't talk like an old southern redneck, you know.
No, Dad, you never really had an accent, but neither did your parents either, really.
When we first moved to Florida, your mom and I both were, people would look at us and say stuff to us. And I was
About your southern accent?
Right, and I was bound and determined to get rid of it. I did not want to be.
So you had one.
Well, they said I did,
Or they thought you did,
I
anyway.
started trying to talk more like them.
That's
Right.
And I
funny.
think some of it kind of came naturally when you're around people. I think you just.
Oh, I think 100%. You know, my buddy Drew, if he
Mm-hmm.
gets around anybody Irish, he just starts talking full-blown Irish accent. Because he
That's
can
funny.
do that accent.
Yeah.
And it just, if you're around people that talk that way, if James Spears comes over, you know, my neighbor Spears, I start talking like this, and that's just, you know,
Yeah.
get old boy down there and holler, and you just slip into it, because it's,
That must be what happened to Hillary, and also to Harris. You know, well,
yeah, you get in front of those southern accents.
Sama has a Spanish accent.
yeah, that's what I.
You know, my dad was born and raised in Ponaco, Mexico. Is where all my relatives are, all my
Where?
cousins.
What?
Ponaco.
Ponaco.
It's near Tampico. Tampico's the bigger town, the golf town, beach town. It's only 35 miles. So when he would go back, when we go on vacation, go there, my cousins would laugh at his accent. They said, "You got a funny accent now." So he's speaking Spanish with an Arkansas accent.
Oh yeah.
But they thought that was funny.
That is kind of wild. The older people I know, especially like guys like my neighbor's been out here. He's 80 years old. You know, they've got that deep Southern all your life, but then you can also move into a place and kind of pick it up. But some people just don't have it. It's kind of wild. Who's got the
Yeah.
strongest or the thickest? Because I know you and Mom didn't really have strong accents when I was growing up.
Right.
It was the the friends I was hanging out with that did. But you can slip into it real easy, in and out of it.
For sure.
You don't want to advertise it. You sound like a hillbilly, but sometimes.
Nothing wrong with it.
No, there really
A
isn't
lot of
anything
people
wrong with
like it, Southern accent.
it. Oh, yeah. A lot of people like Southern accent. But you see some West Virginia senator on CNN, and he's sitting there saying, well, we got to get down here and get the, they don't always sound
It's almost
the
embarrassing.
brightest. But it has nothing to do with intelligence. It's just it's like the British accent. A lot of that has retained, and developed into the South, and they've got multiple accents in Britain. There's multiple different dialects.
There's a lot of dialects in Britain too.
That's what I'm saying. Like the Cockney accent, it's almost more of a class thing too over there.
People from Alabama, they're real Southern.
That's where my folks were from, and so I grew up with parents from Alabama, so they're talking like they talk, and then going to school in Prairie Grove, I didn't talk at all until I was about 5 years old.
Really?
They took me to the doctor and everything.
Really?
Really? Do they?
Dad always just said, I guess he's got nothing to say. That was Dad. But I finally started talking, and but I didn't speak very well until
That's
I was on up into grade school.
When did you become such a philosopher?
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Rick's always had deep thoughts. We'd sit around drinking a beer or something. Even we were even in high school, we'd sit around, everybody just talking, shooting a bull, and Rick would have this deep thought about something, about how a car runs better, a carbureted car runs better when it's raining, and that kind of thing. Get into that.
I
Remember that?
I think that has something to do with the acid he was on.
It could have been, yeah. Or other select.
Statutes of limitations are up, guys.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Right.
I feel like we need to spend 30 minutes just roasting on Jake for not being here. I mean,
Tell stories about Jake for
Jake
about 2
is-
hours and then
did a
send him
180.
the podcast.
He's different. He's just he's Jake.
we miss you, Jake. We wish you could
Yeah,
have
he's
made
a
it.
great guy. He just
Maybe
He's
this one will be
changed like the
tame
rest of
enough
us.
for him to feel safe enough to do it next time.
yeah.
Maybe next
Oh, he
year.
comes around. He still comes around every now and then.
He does come up here every now and then.
But his brother lives in Russellville.
Oh, really?
So yeah, he was building him and his brother built a barn dominium.
Yeah.
So he just recently backed out of that deal. I don't know if he wants to. It don't really matter. But so his brother is taking that deal over. He was gonna eventually retire and move down there, but he said they scratched that.
I got you. When did y'all meet Jake? Was he elementary school too?
Oh yeah, he was.
Bill and I met in first grade, Miss Doherty's class.
Yeah,
He was in that class?
Yeah.
but that's where Jake, even in elementary school, we used to wait on that porch for open the doors to the school.
Yeah.
And I can remember seeing him on that porch, being political and saying, "I will be president of the United States," and
Really?
just- yeah, I did.
That's funny.
As
That
he's
was his
selling his
ambition,
candy,
sure.
from
Yeah.
where your store is right now, the Rusted Rooster is.
Oh, that was Eden's.
Eden's. Yeah, he would stop by Eden's and get suckers or gum or whatever and take them to school and sell them.
Yeah, I did that with
first,
gum.
second grade.
Double his money.
That's funny. Oh, Eden's grocery.
It was funny when I was working at Arkansas Book. Jake was, pretty big dog up there and everything. And one day Scott Phipps came in, and he made reference to him being the candy man.
Oh, Jake.
And all the employees like, yeah, Jake's selling cocaine. That's what it is. And no, you don't understand. Jake was selling candy.
The real
He was in-
candy.
he
To
was in-
children.
Yeah, I mean, it was. But they wanted to make something of it. I said, I can tell you stories on Jake, but that's not one of them.
Right.
Jake and I weren't buddies back then like you and I were. I used to
Mhm.
pick on Jake for.
Mhm.
Of course, I used to pick, I guess, a lot of people, but I don't care. It was in probably junior high before we
Yeah.
became friends, and I don't remember how or what. Maybe the parties that us going out and drinking or whatever we did on dirt roads. That
Mhm.
he was in the middle of that, so we became friends then.
That's funny.
He told me. He told me at one time he used to sleep with something because he was afraid I was going to kill him. I can't remember what it was. Oh,
Bill,
yeah,
you had a real effect on
Why
his
was
life.
he
That
sleeping
terrible.
close to you if he thought you were going to
No,
kill
no.
him?
not close to me. He slept with like a hammer or a knife or something because he was afraid I was going to break into
Oh, like
his
you were going to
house.
break in? Oh, I thought you were talking like a sleepover or something. I was like,
You really,
I wasn't going to bring that up.
you hurt his mind. Bill.
I don't know what it was.
That's bad.
you were living rent free in this guy's head. Man,
Oh my goodness.
kind of a monster were you?
I don't know. It was, messed up back then. Well, I tell you what straightened me out is when Mark moved up here from Chicago. I thought, well, I'm not messing with that guy.
Did you ever have to kick his ass?
No, we were good buddies.
Yeah, we never.
Bill is the one that talked me into playing football.
Is that right?
Yeah, Mom and Dad didn't want me to play because they said, all right, you go play football, you go to practice, you do whatever, you come home, you still got to get your eggs.
Still got to
over
get
there
your
packed.
chores
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
You got to pack them eggs.
Yeah.
So, but we did it. Now I loved it. We had a good time.
I'm sure you know Coach Absher pretty well.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I know him pretty good.
How has he lasted so long and remained at the top
You
of?
know,
I mean, that's impressive to me.
He's a good coach.
Because the game
He's
evolves,
Yeah,
and it wasn't evolving at Farmington. Obviously, they made changes, but he's managed to remain successful.
he's had a
for
real
long
good
time.
record, winning record and stuff. Danny has gotten the bad end of the stick there because he's a good coach. He's a good guy. He treats everybody good. I mean, he's coaching guys' grandkids that he used to coach.
I know that's
and,
wild.
and they all speak real highly of him. But he's been passed up for advancement there. He could have. They've hired athletic directors so many times. He could have been an athletic director.
Sure.
Many times, and they just wouldn't give him the money either. The coaches, high school coaches, don't make any money to speak of. They just recently started paying them a little better, but I wish he'd just went to try to look for a job on a college level. It's so different. But he likes Prairie Grove. He built a house there. He stays there, so that's where he's going to retire.
You gotta love it. I mean, he's been up there forever.
They're just now getting ready to build a nice facility. They just now put turf on the field.
We were up there.
we were
for
just
the first
there.
time for Walt's last game.
I went to the
looked nice.
the grand opening thing.
AstroTurf.
Yeah.
On the
Nice.
same
I mean,
field we played.
They've
the
all
nice
got
stuff.
them now, Rick.
Yeah.
All these schools around here now.
Well, Farmington's got an indoor field. It's indoor practice field.
But that's what Prairie Grove's building right now.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Indoor.
That's right. Excuse me.
But in college, they do that because it's a moneymaker.
Yeah.
Is it a moneymaker at the high school level?
Oh, it is now.
Man.
It is now.
They
They sell
charge-
enough tickets to.
Oh yeah, they charge a lot to
Farmington
get
just
in the
won their
game.
second playoff game in a row. This is the first time since. I mean, I haven't been following high school football. You probably follow it closer with.
Farmington's just had their second win. I guess they beat Dardanelle.
Was it Darnell?
Yeah.
But when was the last time we won 2 playoff
Oh, I don't
games?
know. Farmington does good every year, just about. And Prairie Grove does too. Prairie Grove lost out to. I don't even remember.
It's wild to me. Jason Stillwell's got a son on that team. Thad Hammons
Yeah.
has a son on that team.
Yeah, I mean, Danny coached Patrick.
Yeah.
When he was little, raised him up through there, and now Patrick's son is the starting quarterback.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I
Alex.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm not real happy with the last time Patrick and I were on the field together. It was
Oh, really?
yeah. Yeah, I was.
You played ball with Patrick?
Oh yeah, man. He was a
Really?
quarterback then. He graduated 2000, didn't he?
I don't even
Sound
remember.
about right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. No, I was running for a touchdown. We were up 28-0, I think, in that game.
That Prairie Grove game?
At Prairie Grove, and I was running in, had a long breakaway. Sam Sparkman flies across the field, punches the ball out, because I'm running full speed. There's nobody behind me. I'm just holding it out here. I'm not trying to protect it. He comes and punches that ball out, and Patrick Apter's standing in the end zone and dives on it. So you get the ball back, touchback, get a 20-yard line. It's right before halftime. No big deal. We ended up losing that game 35-28.
Holy cow.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that was probably the
That's
last time
crazy.
I saw that guy.
Big
but-
momentum swing.
So you don't
One
like
way.
him
It was a
stealing ball
momentum
from you.
swing. We were
Yeah.
4-0, and we ended up 5-5 that season. So
Oh,
that
wow.
that one play really just
Yeah.
drove a spike through the heart. But they made a coaching change after
Back
that year
then,
too.
you didn't see people knocking the ball out
No,
intentionally.
not in high
It's like
school, but-
you don't do that.
it was-
You just don't go for the ball. They coach it now, but back then
Oh,
they
yeah,
didn't,
so
they didn't
right.
teach us that.
Yeah, it's stripping that ball is part of the game now.
Sam Sparkman was fast. I mean, I remember running against him in track. He was a fast son of a
Yeah.
gun.
Yeah.
They had some talent out there for
I
sure.
remember Danny talking about him.
Yeah.
that
He was a good player.
Sparky's son?
No, that was the Sparkman from West Fork that we played against in high school.
Okay.
Forget what his dad's name was, but he was a good athlete.
Yeah.
You
I
play
don't-
ball too?
Yeah.
I don't think Sparky.
I didn't play.
I don't know if he
my
had a
senior
son.
year.
You know, he
Played
died.
senior year.
No, did he?
Crashed
Yeah.
a motorcycle.
2 or 3
His
years
dad
ago.
Couldn't.
Yeah. I see Chess all the time.
That's the
Chess.
hardest sell for a mom on a
Chess
motorcycle. It's not
Chess?
Yeah, you remember him, don't you?
about the crash.
Chester.
Oh,
It's gonna
We
happen.
called him Chess. Chess
It's not a
Spartan.
matter of.
Yeah, it sounds more
Yeah,
familiar.
it's a matter of
Chester.
when. You know.
Yeah.
His wife got a booth on Fremont. You remember Chess Spartman?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ralph.
Yeah, Ralph. Ralph Spartman. But everybody, we always called him Chess.
Yeah.
So I see him all the time.
Rick played every sport. Rick with basketball.
Rick was an athlete.
track. Yeah, he was.
started.
Captain of the chess club too.
I played a lot of chess too. but,
Did you really? I was about to say. I bet you're a chess
That's
player.
I
funny.
remember playing Ricky Skelton in the library, and he'd tell you every move. Oh yeah, you're gonna do this. You're gonna okay, you know. And he talked a really good game. Played Dr. Bang, John Bang. We played in the
Yeah.
library. I was always up in the library. I actually helped put books back up and stuff like that instead of a study hall one time or something. And I was in the 7th or 8th grade, but
That was a good cover.
yeah,
Wow, he's a nice guy. He wouldn't do that.
Right.
didn't need to be in study hall anyway. So
Yeah.
you know, just
Yeah, y'all all played for Coach Eads, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, of course, they were seniors playing for Eads, and I was a junior.
Yeah.
So I was a year behind. I failed at third in Chicago. We skipped school a lot. But anyway, I was a junior playing for Eads. And, you know, I didn't know I'd wind up being related to the guy. But he was a nice guy. He wasn't a great coach. He was just a really nice
He
guy.
was really almost too nice to be a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
He
we
didn't-
got away with so much. You know, we weren't in great shape.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, nice guy. I like him.
Just didn't quite command the respect that Coach Berry did. And
Boy.
then
Yeah.
when Coach Berry came in 7th and 8th grade, I mean, we didn't know. I mean, his first coach I'd ever had in my life, and didn't have any idea what a motivator he was,
Yeah.
and all that for teaching form tackling, form blocking. I mean, he was just really a really good coach. Some of the stories, some of the things he did, like the one time we were playing grab it, and they're heavily favored. And they get the ball first, and he tells everybody on the defensive line, when that quarterback says down, I want everybody to fire out and hit the guy across from him as hard as you can. And
Freak him out.
yeah, and they put him on their butt, you know, and okay, man, that worked pretty good. Let's do that one more time. And
This cost us 10 yards.
Take
it
the
gave-
penalty, yeah.
yeah, well, it gave him 10 yards,
Yeah.
and 1st and 10 again instead of 1st and 5, and I think they still beat us. But they didn't beat us very bad.
Right.
And
That's funny.
it was a big momentum swing. But he did a lot of stuff like that.
And he got you in shape, too. He was tough.
Mm-hmm. Ran around
And
that
he
old
came
tree.
to, what reunion was it we had that he came to?
30th.
30th?
Yeah, 30th.
Oh, man.
He and Morgan, Coach Morgan was there.
That's fun.
Not Morgan, but
Morton?
Morton.
Morton,
Oh,
yeah,
Da-
Morton.
That's Dax's dad.
Coach Chuck.
Who?
Dax Morton
Oh,
over at the bank, Arvest.
I'll be
Yeah, that's his dad.
Huh.
Yeah.
Charlie Morton was his name.
Remember?
Yeah,
Charlie and Jarita.
Yeah,
were his
she was a
wife.
coach too.
Charita.
Yeah,
So,
she was the women's or girls basketball coach.
yeah, she was a basketball coach. So one day I'm going back down through the gym and she's out there doing something. And anyway, she told me, you know how she was kind of hard to get along with, and she told me to get off the court or something like this. And anyway, I called her a bitch. Just I mean, right out loud where she could hear me. And I go downstairs. Next thing you know, here comes Coach Morton.
Yeah.
He says, "Bill, come on with me." Anyway, I went with.
Licks.
Oh, and you know, back then they had those paddles, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
had gym shorts on and a jock strap. Well, he pulled the gym shorts down.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, he got me real good. We had to go to school board over it.
Really?
Yeah. I had whelps. Really whelp. I got home, we were sitting down to gather eggs, and I just real gentle, like, oh. Mom goes, what's wrong with you? I said, oh, Coach Morton knocked the hell out of me today. Why? I said, well, our gym burnt down, and we had practice in the cafeteria. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
We were
Jim
practicing in the cafeteria.
Gym burned down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gym at Prairie Grove burned
How'd
down.
that happen?
I think somebody set it on fire.
Yeah, it was
Jake
the
Skelton,
bond-
probably?
No, probably.
He's not here to defend himself.
We're not talking. That's one of those things that he did real bad.
I think the bond issue failed was what happened.
Right.
And since the bond issue failed, they went ahead and just burned it down. The next time bond issue came up, it passed. So
Yeah, well, they needed a new gym.
yeah.
I remember Bill, when they were building this thing, they had dug way down deep because they had got like a second, like a basement basically with the dressing rooms on it. So they were digging way down. Bill had that motorcycle, man. He'd go down in there, I'd lose him. I couldn't see him fly up that other side.
See, we're down there just
Oh, we're
driving
playing,
around the
tearing it
construction site.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you lived right across the street.
Yeah, we were right there.
But back to Morton, we would have practice in the cafeteria. Move all the time. And back then it wasn't football or nothing like that. I think we were playing dodgeball or something. Anyway, somebody hit me with the ball and so got me out. So I just turned around and kicked the ball. And it went all the way to the ceiling, knocked one of those ceiling tiles out. Morton took me in there and just beat the crap out of me. Well, my mom, when I told her that, she says, let me see. And boy, when I showed her, whoo, she called the school. And they had a school board meeting over it.
Really?
Yeah, I was there, and I had to show them my butt, you know.
Yeah.
I was just in like 8th or 9th grade. I think it's 8th grade. I don't remember. But, yeah. And I told them, I said, look, man, I said, everybody gets licks out there. I said, I don't want you to fire the guy over this. I said, I feel terrible about it. And I did. And I said, I don't want you to fire him. So they didn't. But I got in trouble in school for fighting or something. Anyway, they kicked me out. And I think it might my junior year, y'all senior year. It was. So anyway, I had to go in front of the school board because they wanted me out. They were going to kick me out for good. They expelled me. And whoever the principal was said, you're done. You're out. Don't come back. And I thought, what? So I told Mom that. And she said, well, we'll fix that deal. So I went to the school board.
Your mom sounds like a fiery lady.
Oh, she was. And Larry Bell, and I became friends with him later in church, but he was against me. He didn't want me in there. But I tell you who saved me, who stood up and said, listen, I know this boy. He's a good kid. He's played sports with my kids, and they're friends.
Billy Joe.
Yep. And he said, we're going to keep him at school. He was the president.
Yeah.
He said, we're not kicking this boy out of school. Huh? That's stupid. No, he's staying at school. So they gave me some conditions.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Couldn't miss any more days of school. No more fighting.
How'd that work out?
Worked out great. My senior year, I didn't miss one day.
No fights?
No fights, and made the best grades of all my school. I got into it at chapel one time, but we were just kind of goofing around. Remember we were in that hall by where the tiger is? And I pulled out that switchblade and got him down.
That damn switchblade. You're lucky you didn't get killed.
I know, and I put it up to his neck, but I was just playing. You know, I was just messing with him.
Why would you play with somebody
He
like that?
freaked
Would you
out.
do that now to somebody in
No,
Lowe's?
no, you kidding? You can't do that these days. It's different. It's different, Brett. I'll be in jail. I'll be killed or whatever. That's why
That's why I'm so fascinated to hear about
you
y'all.
can't win a fight these days.
You
There's
got the
no
crap
way.
beat out of you by a coach.
Yeah.
And your mom had to go complain about it. I mean, that's the 70s,
That
man.
similar story was with Kimball. Is Coach Barry that we were talking about? He gave licks to Kimball one time so bad that he ended up with these big whelps on him. And my mom went to the school.
But
Really?
imagine
Same
that happening
thing.
now.
Oh,
Yeah, well, they don't
That
even
person
allow it.
would be.
every lawsuit.
You
yeah.
can't even swat them with your hand. I mean, you're going to be in trouble.
But how do you discipline kids now
I tell you,
in school? I couldn't imagine being a teacher.
I think bring back the paddles. What I say. I'm fine with
Well,
it.
I don't have a problem with that necessarily either, but I don't know that the paddle slowed me down any for all the
Okay.
times I got in trouble.
Was
I didn't
it
want
actually
licks,
effective?
but
Yeah.
I was just showing out, being stupid.
I got a story about Bill with exactly what he said.
Yeah.
We had to, and I may have told you this last time, I'm not sure. We had these, what were they called? When they bring the trailers in, you'd have these courses, 6-week courses.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Caitlin.
Yeah, that's right.
Caitlin.
But I forgot what they called that. They switched them. It was like, they had a name for it. Every 6 weeks,
every
you'd
van
pick something different.
you'd get, you had
But it
a
was,
machine shop, and
vocation or
woodworking and other
something.
stuff.
Vocational.
Yeah.
Had
So
4
this
vans.
particular one was electronics. So we were all in there together. I was in all their same classes. And it was wintertime. So, and I think this is how this went down. You can tell me if I'm wrong. There's snow on the ground. We go in there and we start throwing snowballs inside the classroom, Somebody hit the board with one. He wanted to know who did it. And nobody's fast enough. So he goes around and starts looking at everybody's hands, And I don't remember who, but he gives somebody licks over it. So the next day, we go, all the snow's melted off, and Caitlin said something like, "Okay, boys, it's time to get down to business. Now all your play toys are going out there. Snow's melted off. Let's get down." She turns around and starts running aboard. Somebody hits it with a mud ball. I think it was him. I don't know. But he got blamed for it. And he told Bill, he said, "Come up here and get your licks." And Bill said, "You ain't giving me licks." He said, "Yeah, I am. You better get up here." Bill took the paddle out of his hand and broke it in half. Set it on his desk and went to sit back down. You remember that?
Yeah, but then what happened after that?
I think the principal got you.
No, it was Spears, the
Oh,
superintendent.
Randall. Yeah.
So he sent me to the office to the superintendent. Well, the thing is about that paddle is I had actually made that paddle and gave it to him in JJ's class, you know.
And carpentry.
Wood shop or whatever.
Wood shop, yeah.
So not only were they abusing you, they were making you make the tools.
No, they didn't make me. I did it on purpose and I was always giving this guy hell. And he had no control over
it had holes in it too.
Yeah, and so I give him this paddle. So I'm thinking I'm breaking a paddle that I gave to him. How can I get in trouble for that? Well, I got in trouble for that. So I told Spears,
He'd sit up and smoke cigarettes in class. I remember the teacher you're talking about.
Yeah.
He always
they smoked in
Smoked
class.
during class,
He
yeah.
always had
So y'all didn't even have like a tree outside designated.
Oh,
You
we
could
had a
smoke
smoking area.
Yeah, but
It's
the
a school.
teacher
Could
could.
It was just roped off, you know.
Was
Right
it,
by the Agri building.
surely smoking age was still 18 back then.
You know, there's
Kids
a lot
were-
of kids out there
Sure.
younger than 18 smoking.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'd imagine.
All you had to have
It
was
was
a
a
letter
different-
from your parents.
Is that right?
Yeah, and most of them forged them. So
Right.
they were smoking.
There was no digital back then. There was no internet. I mean,
No.
what a
No
world!
internet.
Yeah.
No cell
Thank
phones.
goodness.
I mean, I got away with most of
We
that
could-
too.
We couldn't use a calculator in class.
Yeah.
If you brought a calculator to math class, you're
Yeah.
in trouble.
Teacher would tell you that you're not always going to have a calculator on you. You know?
Yeah.
And nowadays everybody's got a
We'll have a
calculator
computer
on.
on-
Yeah, in
exactly.
our hand, in our pocket, right
They
there.
say we got more power in our phones now than NASA did in the 60s.
Oh, I believe it.
Oh,
It's
they're-
amazing.
And I've been in that room. We went there when we went to Houston last year. The launch site where they did those missions.
Mhm.
It's wild. They've kept it pristine like it was back then. They've even got ashtrays with cigarettes in them
Oh, yeah.
from down there. And so,
Still burning.
yeah.
Gosh, I remember
Perpetual.
flying on airplanes all the time when I traveled. And people right next to me smoking. I thought, oh, my God.
Oh,
Yeah, that'd be.
I
terrible.
hate it.
And they
Still
put
hate
them in the
smoking.
back, like that's going to make a difference.
That whole plane.
Oh, I remember
smoking.
smoking restaurants, non-smoking
Sure.
sections, all that stuff.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
not opposed to the outdoor smoking because I was playing in bars, and you get up there playing for 2-3 hours a night. That cigarette smoke
Oh,
just
yeah.
hitting your throat, man, and it would just waste you. It would dry you out. Couldn't sing.
Everything you had would smell like cigarettes.
Yep.
Oh, everything
hair.
you touched, tasted, everything smelled like smoke.
And I never minded it so much the night of at the bar.
Right,
But then
but
the
that
next
next
morning
day-
you wake
Yeah.
up and you get your jacket.
It
And it's like,
just
yeah,
reeks.
it's like
Right.
an ashtray, and it's just.
But they've really done a hell of a campaign on smoking in general.
Oh,
You just
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
see a lot of people smoking
No.
anymore, or they've switched to vapes, which I'm hearing are even worse for you with some of the
Yeah.
chemicals
In
in
the
them.
vapes, you can about do them anywhere, you know.
Yeah, they don't put forth the same kind of smoke that bothers everybody, but I hear they're just as dangerous or more so.
I wouldn't doubt
Nah,
it.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, some of the chemicals in
I'm
them.
sure it's what you put in them. You know, they have different strengths and different flavors, and
Yeah.
I've never done it, but I've seen them.
Well, I know you're not a huge political guy,
Not
are you?
No.
But
I mean,
I know Ricky is.
Mm-hmm.
You feeling good about things after the election?
I feel pretty good. One thing I'll bring up is the cigarette ban, the restaurant ban in Fayetteville. This is
Yeah.
25 years ago. I was totally opposed to that because
Yeah.
the city of Fayetteville has no right to tell this guy that owns this property what he can do inside his building, and I was pretty adamant about it. But it passed anyway. It's
Yeah.
democracy.
No,
Yeah, you didn't
I
have to-
understand where you're coming from. You're
mean,
talking about just
if-
freedom and libertarian
Yeah,
rights.
if you want to
yeah.
have a non-smoking restaurant, that's great. But if you want to have a smoking restaurant and everybody smoke everywhere, you may go out.
As
of
long as
business.
they're adults.
Yeah, you may go out.
Once
of
you're an
business,
adult,
but-
yeah.
Right, and if you don't like it, you can
Yeah.
choose to go
But
just
people-
to a
Go to the
different.
people vote
non-smoking
with
But
their
but
wallets,
what
you know?
Rick's
makes
saying
sense.
is that the market will decide.
Yeah.
If people
Sure,
who
right.
want that environment want to go there, and that's the only place that allows them, it'll probably do well.
I always thought about that back in the old days. If you had a non-smoking bar like what you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about, said, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that won't go, But man, just think about those that did want
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
non-smoking bar, and my cigarette smoking friend. Oh, that will never work.
Well, I don't want to get political tonight, but I just do want to ask you while you're here. Do you think he makes it to inauguration?
I hope so. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Are you?
Yeah, I am. There are some things that could happen. And I remember, I forget who was where it came up before, but it came up once before in my lifetime that if a war started or something like that, that there is a clause that the sitting president would remain in power and you wouldn't
Yes.
inaugurate a new one.
Yes.
And I haven't heard any talk about that or anything, but I seem to remember that from way back. And
There's
it's
a
hard for
name
me
for
to
that,
imagine
isn't
that
there?
if World
What's the
War
name?
III started.
Who?
What's that called? There's
What?
a name for that. What he's talking about.
Well, I mean, that's basically what they did in Star Wars, in the prequels. I mean,
Oh, really?
they nominate somebody to become. There's a war going on during a transition, and they nominate somebody to be emperor because in a wartime you can't switch.
Right.
And he just keeps
Well, this-
usurping more and more powers and becomes.
I really.
It was a commentary on George W. Bush at the time when it came out with all the weapons of mass destruction thing. It was, what if somebody gets in there and just says, "Hey, we're just not
Well,
gonna." Yeah.
And it might have been during Trump's first term or something. I forget, but somewhere in my memory, I remember that being brought up, that if there's a major war,
Yeah.
that there wouldn't be a transition during that time. And I don't know whether there's any fact to that. They tell you all kinds of stuff that.
I don't know that it's in the Constitution, is it?
Well,
'Cause
and once again,
I don't recall that being in the Constitution, but then again,
I've never heard that really,
Yeah.
but
But
does-
it
wouldn't
does
surprise me.
sound-
Now Hitler, yeah, I can imagine. Somebody like him, he's going to remain because everybody's scared. Like Putin, he wins again without even all the votes being in, but people are scared of him.
well, not only that, it's not important who vote.
well, I
It's
don't
not the
think.
votes that count; it's who counts the votes or something
Right.
like that.
Well, what is an election system like in Russia?
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Is
I think
don't
it's just
there's
votes.
been-
I think it's popular vote.
But they go through the illusion of it,
You know,
right? They
Sure,
they allow
sure.
you to
Yeah,
go through the
yeah.
vote, but the way it's counted and all that is,
I don't think they have. I mean, the like the states,
yeah.
no electoral college.
electoral
or
college.
anything
Yeah,
like that.
I don't think they have that.
Well, I'm hoping he has enough people in place picked that regardless of what happens to him, there's an agenda
Mhm.
that can maybe be.
I'm just like
Executed.
everybody else. I just want a good economy. It's
Yes.
it's
Sure.
slow right now.
Well, you're a money guy. You just want to see the
It's-
money come up, right?
Sure.
Well,
Gotta
Everybody's
eat.
money guys. I mean, no matter where you're at on the
Well,
scale.
what do you think is the major driving cause of it being in such a bad state now?
I don't think it's that bad now. I think real estate's stable. Prices haven't gone down, but
Well, you'd know.
regular cars gone up. Classic cars are way down. People aren't spending money on things they don't have to have or they don't need.
Okay.
So the new cars are selling like crazy because they finance them, and then for a while you couldn't get certain cars
Sure.
during the pandemic.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
And then those so-called chip things with the trucks, they had all these trucks backed up because they didn't have chips,
Yes.
for them. So they were hard to come by. I was buying brand new trucks from a dealership and selling them at a car auction for more than I paid for them.
No shit.
Yeah, yeah. For a long time I did that. Well, for a couple of years, but I mean, I did a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But so right now, what's caused to be down? I don't know.
Well, hold on. I want to.
Inflation would be the number one cause.
Okay.
Printing all the money.
Yeah.
Well, you're close to money. You're buying and selling things. You're seeing how the market reacts to things. You think the market kind of over the last 4 years has stabilized just in different ways? So people are still spending money, just
It's
not
slow.
in the ways they
Here's
were.
the difference. 2 years ago, or when the market was hot here, it's probably been a couple of years, maybe a year and a half ago. Houses were selling like crazy.
Right.
You put one on the market, it sells in 2 days.
Right.
And they were selling for more
For than the
right.
asking price. Yeah.
And if they didn't appraise, they'd make up the difference. And
Right.
they'd pay. So those days are gone.
Yeah.
And I think the market, we didn't flood the market like we did in '08, that's for sure, because there's still
Yeah.
a need for homes.
Sure.
And there's still 1,000 people a month moving into Norfolk, Arkansas on
Yeah.
average.
Yeah.
So it didn't go down necessarily. Basically, the difference is now it's taken 4, 5, 6 months to sell a house where it used to take 6 days.
Right.
So there's a difference. Interest rates.
Well, I was about to say
Right.
the interest rates.
That slowed it. Wait, that's probably the main thing.
That's
Of course,
got to put a freeze
the
on even
inflation
wanting to
just-
sell a house,
you know,
right?
Yeah,
Because if you sell, then you got to go
they raised the rates because of inflation.
right.
You know, and to try to knock the inflation down, and that kind of put a hole in the real estate market. So it basically didn't lower. It may have reduced some in some areas the prices, but mainly it just took longer to sell them. So it's starting to head back now.
So how do you fix inflation, Mark?
Man, you know, I'm not a big economist, but
But you know,
very
money.
hard. They were on the right track, raising rates. That slowed things down. They have to slow things down and bring prices down.
Sure.
You know, and I'm not mean to talk politics, but Trump's talking this 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico. Well, what's that going to do? That's going to raise the price to the consumer. There's no doubt about it.
Sure.
You know, Canada's selling us, they're $1 trillion business, trillions.
Yeah.
Let's say Canada's selling us a case of beer for $10. Mm-hmm. Well, now it's going to be, $12.50.
Yeah.
Well,
To offset the price.
so they're
going to
charge you. You're not going to go in and buy that for $10. You're going to pay $12.50 for it.
Right.
So the consumer is going to wind up paying that. I don't know if that's what caused inflation is the rising prices of goods,
Right.
and that's what we have. And I don't know.
And you don't think tariffs will help?
I
You
don't
think it'll end up getting passed back?
Oh, I
through
know. It's
to
got
the-
to.
Well,
It has to.
hopefully in that situation, they'll buy domestic beer instead of Canadian beer.
Sure.
If it's
That's
possible
kind of
to
the
do that.
idea,
That's
though,
the
isn't it?
idea.
Is
Yeah,
to,
whether
to
it be a
incentivize
crankshaft or tires or cars
Sure,
or whatever.
whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Buy American.
They share so much in the automotive industry in Detroit. Anyway,
Big time.
What's left? I mean, there's a lot of Canadian parts.
No, I agree with that
and all
100%.
kind of stuff.
If they buy American, it's better.
On another scale, not those two, but with China. So we've spent 50 years giving everything we make in the U.S. to China because of their child labor laws, and that which they have none. That they get labor for practically nothing,
Sure.
cheap enough that they can pay shipping to ship it all the way over here, put it in stores, and still sell it for half the price that we could make it for. So they basically everything you buy is from China. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what percentage, but way over 50%.
Every American hat
right
you look at, they're all
is
made in China.
So how do you stop that? Because we screwed up 50 years ago. It's going to cost us. The only way we can stop it right now is to put the same tariffs. They put tariffs on everything we send to China. Has a huge tariff on it
Yeah.
because they don't want our stuff selling
They
over
don't
there.
want you
they
to
want
buy
their
it.
stuff selling over
Yeah,
there.
so it's more of a control on
Right.
the.
Why
yeah.
wouldn't we do the same thing over here that they're doing to us over there? Whatever the tariff is on whatever part it is, and because it's going to hurt all of us for a while.
Oh, yeah.
But 10 years from now, we're going to have new companies. We're going to have, for people, entrepreneurs, people that want to do things, it's going to open up all kinds of stuff. But it's got to hurt a little bit to change what we've screwed up on
Yeah.
for 40, 50 years.
Well, I can remember when Ross Perot was running, he was talking about his Japanese friend and all this kind of stuff. He said, in Japan, we build things. We produce a product, we take raw materials, we spend our labor, we build things, we sell them. In the United States, you just play with money. And that's what's going on. That's a big part of the economy right now is credit card use.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you take
Big
a
time.
$100 bill and I give it to Brad, and he gives it to the local grocery store, and the local grocery store gives it, I mean, it's still a $100 bill. But every time we use our credit cards, 2% of that goes to a bank.
Mm-hmm.
Every time.
for using it. Yeah.
And so now that changes hands 5 times. That $100 bill is now worth 90. And I can't help but think that that's a lot of our economy, a lot of that money that should be rotating around in the economy is now back at the bank.
A lot of people don't use cash anymore. It's just
Well,
debit
yeah,
cards and
no,
all
they
that.
don't.
Yeah.
Sure they don't. And I'm not saying.
But how many people are using credit?
Oh, a
I mean-
larger percentage.
Yes.
But there's
But
smart
even
ways
debit
to use
cards-
credit.
Yeah, there is.
They charge, even using a debit card, they charge you a percentage.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they
I've
do.
never had a debit card, but I just try to carry cash. But
Right.
I use a credit card for big stuff.
I wonder
Like
why
you-
your pockets were so big.
Right.
I thought you were just happy
I
to
just
see
thought he
me.
had a fat ass.
I've gotten a fat ass here lately. No,
But what's a good example of a good way to use credit, Mark?
Well,
For people just trying
there's
to
a lot
learn
of
about
people-
the economy right now.
I'll give you an example. I had a friend that had one of the black cards, and it was $100,000 card, you know. And I still got this friend, but he's buying everything on that card.
Mm-hmm.
He's buying cars on it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he gets points
Right.
to spend. Well, when a bill come in, he had 30 days to pay it.
Yeah.
So he's riding on their money. He would pay it in full every time.
Yeah.
Every time. And that benefited him because he got points. He got
And no
free
interest
trips.
charge.
Yeah.
No
And it
interest.
didn't cost, yeah,
Yeah.
no interest. He paid it in 30 days. So he's riding out his money for at least 30, plus getting points back and gifts and trips.
Yeah.
And
So he's
all
getting
kinds
the
of
perks, so using the
Yeah.
credit, but paying it off.
yeah, you got to pay that bill. You can't let it ride.
But
you
for
know.
people who can't pay it off, it's not a good idea.
No, definitely not. I mean, I wouldn't
Yeah.
advise it for anybody, but majority of people use them.
Sure.
And there's a lot of people.
Well, some people don't have a choice either. If you can't pay your bills, if you're not going out wasting money and you really can't pay your bills, and you can get a credit card, what are you going to do?
But there's a lot of people I know, man, that they want something and they just put
I-
on credit. We'll
I
figure it
hear
out
that,
later.
And that's probably more common than what I mentioned, but I'm just saying.
And I don't know if that's a generational thing. I mean,
Oh, that's been going on for a long time. You know, I'll give you an example. When Coach Absher, Danny was in college, going to college. Well, he got married to Kay, right when he was getting ready to get out or whatever. They had an apartment. They bought all this furniture on a credit card.
yeah.
So they paid on this for like 5 or 6 years. And when he got ready to pay it off, he called me because he was in distraught. They were either going to sell it or move it or whatever. He talked about selling it. So he's thinking, man, this should be paid off. So he calls them, and he owed the exact amount that he started with. He owed the same amount.
Because of
Didn't
interest.
change. Well, because he was paying the minimum payment every month.
Yeah.
So all he just thought it was come off.
He was just paying
He had
the
the option to
interest.
pay the minimum pay. He thought it'd just be more years.
Yeah.
Of course, he was naive to that. Well,
Yeah.
he was just paying interest.
Yeah.
Was all he was paying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he learned a lesson there. A lot of people do that. A lot of people make the minimum payment.
Yeah.
You know, but you're spinning your wheels. You're doing
Yeah. What kind of advice would you give to young couples getting married? You know, you're starting a career, maybe you're just out of college, you don't have a lot of money. What do you say to those people? What do you do with the money that you make?
I'll tell you what I did. It's funny you mentioned that because starting out, just getting going, you know, when I was like a senior, into my senior year,
Yeah.
I had like Bill said, I sold candy too. I sold bubble gum, Wrigley's spearmint gum there, in at the school in packs.
Yes.
But anyway, I hauled a lot of hay. Me and Rick, man, we'd knock him dead. You couldn't wear this guy out.
No,
We'd haul all night. We would haul 1,000 bales a night.
Yeah.
We were making big money back then, 4 cents a bale. So a lot of weeks we were making $200. You know, I was making $20 a week at co-op. You know, pumping gas. But
yeah.
anyway, so toward the end of my senior year, I had $2,000 saved up, and I thought that was a ton of money. And I was telling my dad, I'm thinking about buying me a new truck. You don't need a truck. You got that little Datsun pickup or whatever it was I had out there. You don't need a new vehicle. Well, he goes, I'm going to tell you. So you asked for what advice. I'll give you the same thing my dad told me. He said, buy a house. That was the last thing on my mind.
Sure.
I wasn't irresponsible enough to buy a house. Just
Sure.
18. I was very
You weren't
naive.
married, you didn't have a family,
No.
you didn't need a house.
Exactly. And I said, buy a house? Why would I buy a house? He said, you're graduating in May. You're going to get married to Deborah, right? Y'all been talking about it. You keep saying as soon as you graduate, you're leaving this place and not gather another egg.
Yeah.
Where are you going to live? And I looked at him, I said, well, really, I never thought about it. You know, a lot of times kids or people just don't cross that bridge till they get to it. You know, and it's better to plan ahead. But so sure enough, I knew I was going to get married, so I bought a little house on the highway there, $16,000. And
In what year?
that was in 78.
78.
78, I bought my first house.
$16,000.
Yeah, we used to have boxing matches over there. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
We put up the ring. That helped me pay. My payment was $120 a month.
Jesus, man.
And I didn't have that kind of money. You know, I was working a job, but it wasn't. So we'd have those boxing matches, charge people $5 to get in. We
I don't
split
remember us
it.
ever making much money on that.
It didn't make a lot of money. State Highway shut us down because there's people parking on the highway. It's just little old 2-lane road, 62 was.
Yeah.
So I bought the house, got married. I don't know, maybe a year and a half later, Okay, we had Crystal in 1980, so it's been about 2 years. We had Crystal, and we were wanting something bigger. So I looked at the house behind me, and they wanted $29 for that one. I said, man, there's no way I can afford that. And so I talked to the guy, sell yours. So I made like $8,000 on mine profit. And then back then, that was a lot of money, about how much I was making a year. So I said, wow, that was cool. That was easy. And plus, if you stay there 2 years, no capital gain. Even true today. But anyway,
Really?
so I bought, if you live in a house, your personal residence, for 2 of the past 5 years. So I bought the place behind me, and anyway, I bought another one, and then started doing that. So my advice is to buy a house, buy real estate. That would be my advice.
Start small, something you can afford.
Just something to live in. You know, your own house, stay there for 2 years. You can sell it for no capital gain and do something different, get a different one.
Yeah.
You know, and keep doing that. Even buy a fixer-upper. But I think that if you're just starting out married, and a lot of people can't do this, can't afford it, whatever. I had helped my dad sign for me, you know, but my advice is buy a house. First thing you need to buy. Oh, yeah. Don't buy new cars. I know a lot of couple. I used to have apartment complexes, and people would be driving brand new cars that lived there, you know.
Oh, I see it all the time.
Take that money and buy a house or something.
Yeah.
You got to have a place to live. Take care of your needs.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
exactly.
That's the thing about credit. You know, credit's for things that you need.
Yeah.
You know, not for things that you want.
Sure.
I didn't use that way.
But, you know, it's...
Hey, before we get off of that, Mark was talking about having boxing matches back there. So, the next one they had coming up was Aaron Smith and 2 other guys were supposed to box, and they backed out. And so Jake was like, "What are we going to do?" And I said, "How about me and Mark? Mark and I can do it." And he goes, "You fight Mark?" And I said, "Well, yeah, why not?" And so go to Mark and tell him. He goes, "Well, why would we fight? Well, you know what? You know, it's like, that doesn't even make sense." I said, "Come on." So I had to talk Mark into it, as I remember.
But
I remember anyway, we get out there to fight.
Just plain as day.
And Aaron, no, I guess theirs was the big fight, the one after ours. So we got out there first, and I think Rick was
fought Aaron. Yeah, Jake and I fought first. I remember that.
I thought Jake, you guys fought at one time, but Jake challenged Aaron Smith.
Oh, okay.
It was
the
Jake
2
and Aaron
winners
Smith.
of the fights, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
and he had bet a bunch of money on it. He was going to beat Aaron. Anyway, he didn't beat Aaron, but Mark and I get out there. Mark just kind of danced around, look at me like, "What are we going to do?" And I just popped him. I might have knocked him off his balance or whatever. And he was like, "Okay, it's on.
Game on.
Game on."
We beat the heck out of each other, didn't we?
I've got pictures. I wish I'd thought I'd brought them. I've got pictures.
Well, show that shirt before we forget about it.
All right, yeah.
Camera's right there.
This is 1978. Me and these 2 guys next to me and Jake Skelton.
Yeah.
On a whim, went to New Orleans. And that was us 3 from 1978, 46 years ago.
I know you told me about this when you were on my podcast, but so they just had places where you could just give them a picture and they'd make you a T-shirt?
No, they took the picture.
Oh, they took the picture.
Yeah, so we went in. Apparently, me and Bill were together and took our picture. And then they took a separate picture of Jake and pasted him on there.
Oh, so he's not even with you on that.
Yeah, he's with us.
Yeah.
But if you can see on this shirt, like, see, me and Bill are in a square block together.
Yeah.
Cut. Jake's picture's cut
I
out.
never noticed that.
Yeah.
Okay, but it
cut
wasn't
this way.
a picture of all 3 of you.
Yeah, so he just
together.
put that. He took our picture, then he took Jake's picture, and put them all on the screen thing, and then printed the shirts.
Here, why don't you take that shirt you're wearing off and put that one on?
Oh
You
my
think
God,
that'll fit?
I probably wouldn't fit. I don't think it would. But if I remember right, we bought 3 shirts. We each had one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had one. I don't know.
I think it was $21 for 3 of them, with the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So of course that's a lot of money then, but we did it.
So when did Jake lose his hair?
Gosh, I don't know. Jake left Arkansas quite a long time ago, didn't he?
Well, he lost.
But he lost his hair before that, I guess.
He lived off the lake, and
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
No,
he's been gone 10 years.
Yeah, and worked for Arkansas Book for a long time.
Yeah, he was here a long
He
time.
was, I don't think he left Northwest Arkansas. He just
After he and Valeska got a divorce, I remember he came over, and I was removing the AC out of when we lived on Ray's Mill over there out of the attic, and we were talking about something. He said, "I'll just come over and help you." You talk about a terrible, awful job, being up in the attic
Oh,
and
man.
pulling that.
Yeah,
because,
that's nasty.
Your buddy's dad was coming over to put the new AC unit in.
Ferguson?
Yeah, and I told him I'd rip the old one out, but Jake helped me pull all that stuff out. Anyway, he had his hair not it wasn't long. You know,
He cut it like
Yeah.
the rest of us, you know. we all-
That's the
eventually.
job that made him
Well,
lose it.
everybody's except Rick.
Yeah.
that's what made
I just can't afford a haircut. So I just.
Are you done racing?
Done for this year. Yeah,
Alright.
we raced back in the fall. Raced a couple of vintage. You know,
You're
arm
real lucky Theo doesn't have a phone and have your phone number.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got to keep him at bay. He wants to get to Rick all the time. So my little man getting in the dirt.
Yeah, I heard
biking.
Rick was giving him some lessons.
Oh,
That's awesome.
he wants Rick to be his dad. He's ready to trade me in for Rick. He wants to go move in with Rick.
That's funny.
Have you guys seen the Malvern deal? I'm sure you have, Rick.
The new track that's
Yeah.
going in down there.
I gotta
They-
pee. Y'all keep going.
They just opened it this month,
Okay.
but they had it on the news the other night, and a guy that was a national champion is one of them that's in on it, and some guy with a lot of money from Conway. But they've got 100 acres out there, 3 motocross tracks, plus they're putting mountain bike tracks, a place for RVs. But this
Wow.
this guy that was a national champion, he is training people. You know, he's got a school out
Okay.
there also.
You don't remember his name? Yeah.
I'm sure you would know, but I didn't recognize it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it looks like a great place to go spend the weekend, and especially if you like to ride
Oh, yeah.
motocross. But
Yeah.
big place.
Man, I couldn't ride a motorcycle anymore. I'd ride it, but I couldn't. I'd be sore when I got off of it.
Depends on how hard you ride.
I
I
do
mean, it's all. You know, you can push yourself to the point of.
You've been doing it so long, you're just, you're immune.
I don't know about that. I still get tired and get sore and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, but I don't push myself near
Yeah.
like I used to.
Yeah, you don't bounce as good as you used to at our age.
No, I try real hard to stay on the motorcycle.
You break bones now, it's harder to, definitely harder to recover.
Yeah, I went mountain bike riding with a guy that was 57 a week ago, I guess it was. We went up to Kessler, and I had met him, and he was just moved to this area, and I said, well, yeah, I'll show you Kessler, let's go up there. Anyway, after, he kind of blows me away on the trail, especially climbing. The guy's just in great shape. He tells me, oh yeah, I've been riding since I was 16. I raced BMX, and when I was 20, I was the state champion. And
Wow.
started riding mountain bikes when they came out, but still raced until I was 42. And so one time he rode to Canada and back. You talk about somebody's in shape and they can
Yeah.
ride.
Good grief.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd have gone with him if I didn't, but
Yeah.
but he didn't brag. Just a real nice
Last
guy.
name wasn't Slazeric or anything
No,
like that.
no, that'd be
Well,
like
those
Jeff.
Eric's are
Yeah.
wild.
Oh, indeed. Or even McCutcheon. McCutcheon used to do that.
Oh, yeah.
100 mile.
Jack?
Yeah, well, Mike.
Mike?
More than Jack.
Would do what?
Ride 100-mile bicycle rides and stuff
Oh.
just for fun.
Well,
And,
Kimball bought one of his mountain bikes. It was a Cannondale that had the lefty on it, the single fork in the front.
Yeah.
It's funny. I found it in the Craigslist, I guess it was. Kimball's looking for something to buy, and here Mike shows up with it. Couldn't believe it.
Oh, he's had a lot of cool different stuff through the years. He'll go whole hog on something for 6 months or a year or something, and he'll decide he wants to do something else, and he'll go 100% on that for
Yeah.
however long it takes. That's just Mike.
You talking about McCutcheon?
Yeah.
He's still riding?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's still pretty fast.
That's unbelievable.
He and Rick are who I was trying to keep up with when I broke my arm out there at Mill Creek.
So Mike was there that day.
You and Mike were way out.
How about that?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
Wes
and,
Wallace, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was way over my head. I heard you mention that on your podcast with Brad, and you said, I think Bill might even admit this. And I admit it. I was
That's funny.
I was way over my head trying to keep up with you guys, and it came over, crested a hill, and it dropped, and I didn't expect that, and I kept going up in the air, and I think
Well, you hadn't ridden since you were a teenager, and I'd ridden, 100 enduros, in that time.
I
It's
think
just-
my pegs of my bike hit that tree at about 10 feet in the air because the the ground dropped like this. And
Oh yeah.
it took them a long time to get me out of there. I kept
Yeah.
Rick rode me out on a 4-wheeler, and I kept getting ready to pass out.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. No moving.
He's told me. I don't know if
Yeah.
it was on the pod or off the pod, but Rick's told me his.
No, it's pretty.
I've
rough.
heard that story now from multiple different people.
Yeah.
So is it
They
about the
all
same
line
story
up,
from
yeah.
everybody?
Wes's and Rick's do. Yeah.
Do what?
line up.
Oh,
Well, aren't we all together?
Yeah.
You and
yeah.
Wes?
Wes was
Yeah.
there. I can remember Wes and I sitting in the creek after it was all done. After
Yeah.
he got you. You were. On
I
the way
don't
to the
know.
hospital.
All I know is you were in the hospital and
yeah.
like I've heard Rick's and Wes's because they were there.
How
And
old
it
were
was-
you when that happened?
29.
I was 5.
Yeah, that was
Were you?
89. Yeah, you might have been 30.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I do remember the Coker put a pin in there to hold this thing in place. It broke the end of my elbow,
I did the same thing.
but it still, part of it stuck out, and so he had it bandaged up. Well, before it was healed up, and that pin was still sticking out of there, I put a baby diaper on it. We went riding at Devil's
Oh
Den.
my God. You have a bar in yours? Look at that scar.
God.
Yeah.
I got a metal bar in
No,
mine.
they took this out. It just was in there till it set up, and then he removed
Really?
What the hell is that from?
I had
the horse.
a horse wreck like 5 years after Bill had his. This was in '94, I believe. And that's when I lived on Neal Street. I built that house on Neal Street. And
That the
Devin-
guy tore down.
yeah, that's a funny story on that place. But so Deb and I was just riding over my little brother's house. Tony had a house over on, I forgot the name of the road, like Old something in Farmington.
Old Farmington Road?
Something like that. It may not have been Old Farmington. But anyways, over there, you know where the Pedal Pops is, straight back before they started the subdivision, straight back from there. Anyway, had a house there, and we're riding from Neal Street over there on the pavement. Well, we get to racing. Deb and I just start running, and I had a horse that was fast, big, and his strap broke, and I went straight over the. And when it did, he just kind of stopped, started because it got up under his arms, the saddle did, and I went straight over his head, going head first, and I just put my arm up, and just bam.
Yeah.
So I had to have plastic.
When did you
elbow.
get into horses?
We used to ride. I mean, I had like 13 horses over there on that place. Deb
Yeah.
always liked them, but I got into horses in the 80s, and we used to ride all the time. And after that, I quit riding, sold the horses.
I don't blame you.
So I hadn't had them since '94.
Did you ride much?
When we were kids, we all had our own.
Well, I know
horse
Grandpa
running
always
out.
had horse. Yeah, you all had. So you had your own too.
Oh yeah, but once I got it to be a teenager or thereabouts, I mean, I lost my interest. It was just we would all go as a family.
But you grew up riding.
Right. Oh yeah, I grew up right. We rode in parades there in Prairie Grove.
You don't have any horse wreck stories like Mark's?
Well, yeah, I do. I have a good one. I didn't break anything, but Candy was the name of the horse, and it was a barrel racing horse when Dad got it. And we were riding outside of town towards Bob Kidd Lake, and on the pavement, just past where it goes up to Viney Grove, right there, on the left, where the Frenches, Mary French grew up over there.
Yeah, that's out there by where the quarter-mile strip was.
Yeah, right before you get to that.
What's the name of that
The
road?
why not's what we call it.
Stonewall Road.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're riding through this field that somebody had just baled some hay, and this horse, I'm thinking, man, it's gonna be cool to jump over a bale of hay. So I kicked that thing and took off. Boy, I'm running right at a bale of hay. Well, horse can't see very far in front of himself. Well, as soon as he saw that bale of hay, he did this. He turned. He went that way, and I went that way. I hit that bale of hay, and I rolled, and anyway, I didn't break anything. Got up and thought I won't do.
They don't do that in the video games.
No,
Right.
You just hit X and they'll jump.
I didn't hit X.
That's the best way to go.
Yeah. Did you ride?
My sister had a horse when I was really young. I rode it a little bit. I had one time it got away from me,
Yeah.
and I wasn't supposed to be riding it at all. And it got spooked and wanted to go home. And it rode from where Sandy used to live, there on the corner, rode all the way back to the house full speed. And I hung on. I didn't get thrown off. I was only about 6 probably.
Well, Sandy used to live in downtown Prairie Grove.
Yeah, she did, but she also had a house right there on the corner across from Johnny Kelly's
Oh, okay.
place. They built that house first, and I think that was after they lived on Cleveland Street there. But it wasn't either. That was later. Yeah, she lived there later. But anyway, that horse, boy, it beat me up, and then when I got home, I got a whooping because I wasn't supposed to be on it in the first place. So.
They're dangerous. Horses are dangerous.
You met Valerie Burns?
Oh yeah, I remember. Oh no, we're talking about broke her leg.
Broke
That was Tamara Burns.
Tamara?
Uh-huh.
Was it?
That
Oh, that's right. That's
yeah.
right with Valerie. But she broke more than her leg. I mean, she
it
broke.
tore it up, broke her hip, and
Yeah.
she couldn't walk the same.
On a horse?
She was one of those people like Judy was that rode a horse. I mean, every day that was her life, riding horses. And
she'd run them.
But yes, she had a horse get away from her, and I think she had a tree.
She run. What happened was she was running through the. She lived right up the street from me, right where I built that brand new building on the highway. Right across the road, she lived there. But she went between two trees, and it wasn't wide enough. It just ripped one of her legs off, almost off.
Oh my God!
It messed her up for a long time. She had rods in her leg, and she limped forever. As a matter of fact, I never knew her any different after that.
Yeah.
After years later, she was limping. Yeah. Yeah, Ronnie Burns was her brother.
Yeah. Yeah, he was good friends with Broyles up here in. Wasn't his name Broyles? Had the tow truck and
Larry.
Larry.
Really?
Yeah. One time in high school, they were doing painting and stuff together. You know, they both got into that sort of thing. I don't know what happened after high school, but
yeah, Larry's my neighbor too. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, he lives.
How can everybody live by you?
Well, because they used to live all around me. Well, no, that first neighbor used to live by me. Tamara.
Till you killed him.
I lived on the highway.
Uh-huh.
But Larry's got a big farm. Well, his land is actually right across from my driveway. Is where he takes in. He's got like 200 something acres out there.
Talking about Stevens?
No,
Broyles.
Larry Broyles.
Larry Stevens lives up there on Bethel Blacktop still, doesn't he?
He is. This is on Little Elm. Larry Stevens on Bethel.
He's on Bethel.
Yeah, right past Bobby Neal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry Stevens done real well.
He's still the starter guy, isn't it?
No, that's not Larry Stevens. That's
Isn't it Stevens though?
yeah, it's Stevens. He used to work at 62 Auto Salvage.
Yeah. The
Good
road
Lord.
was Stevens Road.
What's his name?
One time.
Oh my God, I know him real well. He married
Obviously not that well.
Lisa DeVault. You remember Lisa DeVault?
Mm-hmm.
He married her. That is crazy.
So I got to ask all y'all something just while I got y'all here, just being a dad and what that's like. I'll start right here. What was it like for you being a dad the first time?
Oh gosh, I was a little older. I was 32 when Jonathan was born, so it's a good thing. If he'd been born when I was younger, it'd been.
It's probably good you waited a little bit.
It probably was. It's probably a real good thing. But it was miraculous. It was soul changing. You know, it really was. When he was born, that was the biggest miracle I'd
It's
ever
unlike
witnessed.
anything you go through ever. Yeah.
It was just, everybody should experience it. They really should. But as far as what kind of job I did raising him, my sister always said that I raised him like an adult. I treated him like an adult even when he was a child.
Yeah.
And I never thought much about that.
I did that too with my first one.
Yeah, I brought him in. I told him, no, that's not right. This is right. That's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I tried to communicate with him more as an adult, even at a pretty young age. And I don't know what kind of psychological effects that had on him, but he's doing okay.
I'm guaranteeing you still haven't gotten your parental handbook in the mail.
No. There were a lot of mistakes made. I can assure you that. But
Well, show me the parent that hadn't made any.
oh no,
Right.
Yeah.
we're all human after
Yeah.
all, and
But what a
emotionless.
journey that is, and it's interesting, when you're young. Dad can attest to this. I knew more than you did when I was 16, right?
Sure.
Still do.
No, I'm at the age where I can admit I don't know shit, I didn't know shit then, I don't know shit now. But when you're young, you got it all figured out,
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that you can't really connect with your parents on a certain level until you have kids. And they age a bit, and almost into the teenage years.
Yeah.
Because that's when problems typically present, with most.
Oh yeah. That
most
rebellion
families.
sets in.
But it's real easy. I just find it funny. It's real easy to judge your parents when you're young.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of depends on the kids, too. I mean, you could have a kid that's an angel,
You're
and
right.
then you think, man, we are great parents. We just look at our
Why
kid.
didn't you just do this?
And then
Yeah.
then you have another kid, and like, oh my God, this is nothing like the last one. What happened?
They're all different.
But nature's that way too. You look at wildlife, and deer and bear and everything else running through there. They all have their, their cubs, and they're out playing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're bowing up on the big bear and
fighting for dominance.
Sure. And
yeah, it's a part of life.
It's human nature just the same way. When you hit those teenage years, it's got something to prove. And
what strikes me the most is how different they are with the same parents, but everybody, I don't think people think enough about the time that passes between when you're raising those kids. Yes, it's the same parents, but they're really not. You're 5 years older, so you've got more experience as parents. Like the first one, we had all the plugs and the outlets. He can't get electrocuted. He can't open the drawers.
Yeah.
With the third one, it's like, all right, you two boys are raising this one, and we're gonna get all the housework done.
Keep an eye on him.
Just keep him alive. That's all you have to do.
That's the Duggar effect. He watched too many of those shows.
No, man, but our third one's a wild man. He knows how to survive alone for a week in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And that's not because I was a good parent. It's because I wasn't a good parent. He just had to figure it out.
But there's a lot to that. I think kids learn from other kids.
Sure.
A lot better for whatever reason. The old one-room schoolhouses.
Yeah.
You had all levels in one room, and the older kids taught the younger kids, because it was fresh. They just learned it last year too.
They're closer to your peer level too.
Yeah, and you can communicate with them just like everything else.
Right.
There's a lot gets lost in the translation, and I can't help but think there's a lot of things we've gotten away from like that.
What would you have done different?
As far as my
parenting.
As far as my parenting. Oh gosh, I'll have to think on that one a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of things I could have done different, I'm sure, but as far as putting them, to words, it'd be hard. I'll have to ask Jonathan. I'll ask him what I should have done different.
I'm gonna be an MC podcast.
I'll ask him that. So, I was asked this question, I just couldn't answer it.
What was it like for you, Mark, when Crystal was born?
Oh man, Deb and I married May of '79. Bill and Barbara got married a month after us. On the same day, my brother and his wife got married.
No shit.
I was in both weddings the same day.
You were in I was about to say, which wedding did you choose? Because I thought you were in his.
I was in both of them.
You're in both of them.
I had to run.
Jeff and Mary Ann.
Mary Jane.
Mary Jane.
Was that those blue tuxes?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, man. Bill still got his.
I still wear it.
Still wears it on weekends.
We got married. I was young, and we were both young. And then a year later, we got married May '79. May of '80, we had Crystal.
Yeah.
I was very mature, and I was working a full-time job at packaging. I always started work and all that. And, we had our little house and all that, but I was just very naive, and I didn't know nothing about raising a child. I mean, it was new to me. It's like a child having a child,
Yeah, it is.
And, Deb really took the reins on that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then especially, like later, Justin was born in '86, and then I was traveling all the time.
So there's 6 years between them.
Yeah, 6.5.
I didn't realize that.
6.5 years.
Okay.
So, Deb pretty much raised them kids,
Yeah.
Because I was going, now, what would I have done different, you said? I feel guilty at times about how I treated Justin and Crystal. Justin more. I used to pick on him a lot. And not just pick on him, be mean. I was very strict with him. And, I used to paddle on him. And I feel bad because there's times when I gave him licks when I shouldn't have. And Crystal too, but they both turned out to be great. They both got master's degrees and they're doing well. But sometimes I just feel real bad about that. And I'll tell you a quick story. I don't want to talk too much. Me and Justin, I was traveling all the time. Leaving money, giving back Friday a lot of times. Me and Justin played outside a lot. We played basketball. And one of those things I feel bad, like blocking his shot sometimes. I think, why did I do that? He's just a kid. But I was trying to teach him how to play. I didn't.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Can't just let him win every time. And
yeah.
Doesn't teach him anything.
He kept bugging me. I was beat. I mowed the lawn and all that. And he kept wanting to play. And I didn't. And he kept coming there to football. And I'm trying to watch a game or something. He kept throwing that football back and forth. I said, Justin, go outside and throw that football around. He goes, you come out and throw the football with me. And I said, I'll be out there in a little while. I wanted to finish this. Well, Next thing I know, it's getting ready time to go to bed, and I never did go outside and throw the football. This was on a Sunday, because Monday I had to get up and I had to go to Iowa. Well, I'm halfway down. I'm in Kansas City, and I pull over, and I just started crying.
Jesus,
I felt so bad. It just worked on me hard.
Yeah, I understand.
I just felt terrible. And so anyway, I called him. And well, he was in school.
Not from a cell phone.
No, I called the house and talked to him. I said, as soon as Jesse gets home, I'm going to call me or whatever. I got a hotel. I just stayed there. Because I told her, I said, I'm thinking about quitting my job. She goes, what? Why? Are you crazy? No. I said, well, I'd spend more time with Justin. She goes, yeah, okay, how are we going to make a living? And I said, well, good point. So, talked to Justin. I said, buddy, I'm so sorry I didn't throw that football around with you. I apologize. He goes, it wasn't no big deal. I said, I'm so sorry. I said, tell you what, you get to stay home from school tomorrow. He goes, really? I said, yeah. I said, we're going to do whatever you want to do. We're going to play ball. We're going to do whatever. So I turned around and came home. I didn't even make the trip. But I'll never forget that. It hit me hard. So that's one of the things I regret. It's not spending more time with them when they were young.
Man, what a powerful thing you did, though, going back home, though.
Yeah, I mean, I was in pieces. I couldn't.
That
that
speaks
taught me
to
a
me a
lot.
lot, yeah.
I started spending more time doing stuff with them on the weekends. I was more involved in trying to make $1 than trying to spend the time.
Sure. Well, I come across that with 3 boys. They all want your attention.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you want to spend family time, but you also want to have individual relationships.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, this is your night, your night, your night, and you really want to give them 100%. You don't want to half-ass it. But
Right.
There's been nights when I've got so much going on. I've just started a new job. I've got a lot of shit going on, and there's times when it's like, man, I can't go throw the ball with you.
Yeah.
And then that eats at you later,
It
and you want to
does.
make it up to them. But
really
that's a powerful story, man.
Yeah,
And you don't get that time back.
Because you never get
That's
it back.
right.
That's the thing. And you never get that age back. I looked at our last year's Christmas picture compared to this year's, and those boys are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They look like little kids.
Yeah.
Like they no longer exist. And so I only had a limited amount of time with those boys. And now I've got the time I got with these.
Yeah.
And every year, those boys are going to continue to grow.
Sure. That's
And
over.
it's like you got to maximize that while it's happening.
I spend a lot of time with my grandkids. When they're there,
Well,
it's 100% them.
that's my
I'm all
next
about
question.
what they
Hold
wanna
on. Save that one for later.
Yeah.
What was it like for you, Dad?
That's a tough question to be asking your dad.
You regret that it happened. I get that, but
If we'd only known what we knew now.
I think with my personality in some ways a lot like my dad in that I really only give a shit about me. So,
Yeah.
and
No,
I
I
say
get
that kind of jokingly, but there's some truth to that. The way my brain works.
That's human nature in general,
Is-
anyway. Most of
right,
us are
but-
Yeah.
narcissistic. At
well,
some
especially
level,
when kids are
That's-
young. I was the same way when my kids were young. It's like, what can I do? The mom is the nurturer.
Immature and naive. That's
Yeah.
what I used.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
Anyway, I think when you have a child born, I don't think you could love anything any more than when that happens. That's just something that I don't know that everybody should experience that, but every person that's capable of raising a child, it's a great experience. But just like Mark said, your mom raised you and took care of you, and it's a good thing because I wouldn't have been worth a shit at it. I was just, of course, I was out trying to make a living, and she was doing that thing. So it's two different things, but still, my personality. If we could have switched and she'd have been some great money maker and I could have been a stay-at-home dad, I couldn't have done it.
Or they may have turned out different too. I don't know. Our kids have great morals and standards, just like Deb taught them. And she brought them up. She was the spiritual leader in our family. And that's the way she brought them up.
Thank God the women were teaching the standards and values in your families.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean,
No doubt
Rick
about
would have been fine, but you
Yeah.
two,
that's
you need
true.
to be nowhere near that kind
It
of.
took me
It's
a while
true.
to grow up.
But it goes right along with that is, we all, things that we're interested in, it's easy to talk about, with kids. And I've tried, especially with grandkids to talk about stuff they're interested in. Whereas, you know, when I'm growing up, I couldn't wait till Brad could start riding a mountain bike. And so he didn't show any interest in it at all. So for one Christmas is a big deal. Well, you know, we got him this nice new mountain bike, and I couldn't wait for him to go riding, and he just never really seemed to want to. And then I take him out to Devil's Den and take him on one of the hardest damn trails out there going down it, and he's almost crying like, Dad, I can't do this. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? You know, come on, pussy, get down. Or, I didn't really say that, but anyway.
He was thinking it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, it wasn't very long after I was thinking, why the hell did I do it? No wonder he hates mountain bike riding. I just, you know, that's the kind of stuff you got to know what you're doing. And here I take him on a hard trail, and he didn't want to go anyway. But there's things I think
that's why he's much happier with Theo. That's the son he always wanted. See, so it all worked out. I can't. Me and Theo don't have the relationship that he has. So
he's the grandson I always wanted.
Yeah.
I got 3 grandsons I always wanted, so I'm happy with that.
It's okay. They won't watch this for a while.
Well, but the thing is they're also uniquely different. They all bring, you know, Theo is the most like me, but still, I love them all the same. They're just awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's a two-way street too, because the kids are aware of what your parents think of them. You know, I always grew up being more aligned with Mom because I'm a reader and a writer, a more creative type person, but I always appreciated that know-how, the kind of stuff that you guys know how to do. It just didn't interest me. And then you get to be in your 40s, and you're like, man, I wish I knew how to fix some shit around here. You know, so God, I wish I had paid
graduate high school. I should have studied.
Yeah, well, I'm not like Mark. I can just pay somebody else to do it. You know, I gotta fucking do it myself. I gotta. No, but you know what I mean. It's like you don't think these things are important because they're not interesting to you, and then you're like, man, my dad knows a lot of shit.
But it's also a mindset of, you know, no matter what I look at or think about it, I'm sitting there thinking, just the other day, your mom and I were somewhere waiting on somebody, and I'm looking up at the ceiling on how it's put together, you know, and the imperfections in it and stuff like this. If I would have mentioned any of that to her, she'd say, why are you looking at that? You know, what's wrong with you? But Rick taking things apart, when he took a friggin' engine apart to overhaul it, I'm just out there with him. I don't know what he's doing, but he back then you didn't have the internet. He opened up a book, I think it was Chilton or something like that, and he's reading through here and takes a complete engine apart. I helped him, but just hand me a tool, Bill. No, not that one, dumbass. You know, the other one. But anyway, he has the same kind of mind.
Yeah.
His started earlier than mine.
But what made Theo have that, whereas Max and Walt don't?
That's why.
Why is he just obsessed?
I think you're born with a certain
DNA.
mindset.
Yeah.
It's a DNA. There's part of it is just DNA.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because it's always that nature versus nurture, right?
Sure.
But
and some children, you know, no matter how much you drive it down their throat, they don't care. They don't want it.
well, some parents nurture too much.
And other children,
Right.
Some parents.
You mean spoil.
Well, there's lots of like you can not just spoil them, you can oppress them.
Yeah.
You know,
you don't want
I don't want to let you breathe. I want you to follow my path.
Right.
I was this, and I want you to be just like me, or whatever. You know, I feel sorry for a lot of these quarterbacks, these elementary quarterbacks, whose dads were quarterbacks, and by God, son, you're going to be the next starter for this, you know, and you see some of that. There's multiple different kinds of ways you can oppress your kids or whatever, or just straight up fuck them up. But
that's one thing I've always, one of my pet peeves with parenting is parents putting fears, unnecessary fears.
Yes.
I mean, there's things you need to be afraid of.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, the road, stay out of the road. But when you're really pushing fears of things that, you know, he really should be able to go out in the backyard by himself and play without fear that somebody's going to get him, you know.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's hard to explain, but unnecessary fears to me is just something that there's no reason to put those in a child.
I see a lot of great memes on X. It's like, you know, when we told our parents we were out riding around the block in the 80s, and they'd list all these, you know, lists of just dangerous things, and just crazy shit because you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have trackers,
no.
you didn't even have.
No, if it got dark at the end of the day, Mom and Dad come looking for us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it was, and we've been going.
Would they?
Well, maybe.
What age?
Yeah.
Rick and I used to take off from his house down the back way to Prairie Grove Lake, just following ravines and stuff, going in caves without flashlights. And there was no thought from my parents or his parents to where we were.
I don't even think we filed a flight plan, or anything like
No.
that. It was just like, okay, you guys have fun, see ya.
Yeah.
And,
Don't come back.
They didn't know which direction we went or anything. We just.
I did the same thing in Chicago. We'd go way off on the other side of the tracks and put logs and crap in front of trains that are coming, and way out there where we shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
It was a whole nother, not just a neighborhood, but a whole nother nationality.
Was that where you had to fight a lot in Chicago?
Where I had what?
To fight? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Did you had to get in a lot of fights? Was
I
that
did.
a turf thing or?
Not really. I just did because that's what we did as kids. We kind of had like a little gang of guys, did that. But my dad, when we go to Mexico, he'd put me in boxing matches in Mexico too.
Are you
Yeah, he bet on
kidding
me.
me?
No.
They need to make a Netflix series
I
on
fought
Mark.
every time I went down there. That's Jeff. He was like my corner manager or something. He's always going, you can beat this guy. He ain't tough. But anyway, in Chicago, we go so far past where we're supposed. We're just supposed to stay in our little area, our little Hispanic neighborhood.
Right.
Because the next neighborhood's Italian. You go up that way, it's Puerto Rican and so forth. You get in somebody else's neighborhood, it can be dangerous. And for an adult, for sure. But kids, they didn't bother us much.
That's good.
We were all over the place.
Yeah.
Mom had no idea.
I want to come back around the horn. What was the difference between having children and grandchildren?
My gosh, they leave the house. I mean, you're not responsible for it. It's a completely different.
Yeah, I know. I'm not at that stage yet. So I'm just wondering, like, what's the perception difference? Like, I'm not responsible for fucking this kid up, so I can't really screw it up too bad.
But I do. You're right. But in most cases, but just like Theo, hopefully I'm picking him up tomorrow at he's at a bike camp right now up on Centennial, which he and I've ridden up there a few times. So
he actually wants you to bring your bike and come.
I'm going to bring my bike,
but
there's some of the things I have. Theo's one of those kids. He'll do whatever you tell him to do.
Yeah.
He'll say, "Grandpa, can I do that? Can I ride over that or do that jump?" And if I say no, he won't argue. He just okay. But if I say yes, I need to be careful because it doesn't matter how big a jump it is, he'll do it. He just goes off stuff. So I worry about. In fact, when I tell your mom, I said, "Well, I'm going to take Theo out and get him hurt tomorrow." I don't. I just say it every time. Kind of. It's hopefully he won't get hurt because he.
What bothers me is people who are smug parents, and it's like they might have one or two kids and they might be kind of young. It's like if you had that third one, you know what I mean? It's like I just don't know how much parenting really has to do with it at the end of the day.
Well, what's the old saying about that? About their parenting is one half of it, and the other half is
Nurture, nature.
Well, how you're born, but there's a word for it. But
your DNA. I mean, it's what's in.
But I agree. But these kids that are allowed to sit these days in front of a TV and play video games.
Oh, that's parenting.
As many hours
that's
as
all
they
parenting.
want. Yeah. And
that's
with
a
no
negative zero
responsibilities.
score.
I know kids that they don't no chores, nothing.
No,
they don't have
they
to
don't
do
work
anything.
like they used to.
They don't help mow the yard. They don't help do it. Don't make up the room. Nothing. Those kids, in my opinion, are going to grow up more than likely to really have a hard time in society because
I wonder
they're responsible.
Did you guys work as hard as your parents did when they were kids? Do you think?
I'm sure I did. I'm sure not. No.
Probably not.
No, it gets harder.
Yeah.
As you go back, it gets easier as we go along.
Get easier, yeah.
Back in the days, it was harder than it is a lot.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But you can still, Brad always had response. He always had to clean his room. He mowed yards. That Les Paul that's hanging right over there on the wall, he saved up all summer, one summer or 2 summers for it.
It was a summer and a half.
Mowing yards, and we found that in Springfield, Missouri. It's a Jimmy Page lookalike. He wanted a Jimmy Page guitar, Les Paul. I think he paid $1,200 for this back when he was,
a lot of money,
15, 16?
Yeah, I was 15.
Yeah, and it's probably worth 3 or 4 times that.
I bet.
Now, but my point is that at one time we had a trailer. When he was 15, he was pulling that trailer all over Farmington, mowing yards. But if the kids that don't have to do that at that age, again, it's not 100% rule.
But also, like, Max is getting jobs now teaching robotics classes.
Right.
I didn't have opportunities
At
to do
14.
that. Right, at 14.
Right.
Which is a year.
He's 5'11" now, has a mustache
Wow.
and almost sideburns, and he's 14 years old.
Your son?
Yeah, and he's as tall
Wow.
as me. He's just about half an inch shorter than me.
That's wild.
Yeah. But we have different opportunities as you get older too. You know,
Right.
But it all boils
you
down to
had
the
you
same.
had a lot more opportunities than your parents did.
Sure.
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
sure, you're saying it all boils
But
down to
it's
seeing
still
how
all-
hard you work.
Yeah, it's the same game.
Sure.
Yeah, it's all about you got to be able to plan this out. Well, you got to make this happen. It doesn't just fall in your lap.
It doesn't
I mean,
manifest.
Yeah, and your parents teach you. I mean, you guys had lawnmowers when you were young. I
Yeah.
Oh,
remember
yeah, we grew
Yeah,
up
sure.
mowing
you
yards,
grew up
hauling
and
hay.
this
Yeah.
is what
But
we do.
I feel like your generation was able to teach your kids a fairly equitable thing that you did.
Yeah.
We grew up fairly similarly to the way that you did, and you didn't grow up too differently. But I feel like this next generation is growing up in a completely different world than
Oh,
even
yeah.
I did.
Oh, no doubt about it.
So
And it's-
when did the internet get really? What year was it? The internet.
We got our first computer in '95.
95.
So I was 14. I was already a teenager, but I'd lived a world without the internet until
Right.
my teenage years. Yeah.
So
Crystal
somewhere
would have too.
around
Yeah.
2005. Within 10 years, it just. I mean, the internet was there. Remember
It was
AOL, and it was
exponential.
Oh, yeah.
it was dial up,
Oh,
and
yeah.
how slow it
Wait.
was.
What year was Jonathan born?
92. So
Yeah, so he's 10 years younger than Crystal and I.
Yeah, Crystal is 44.
Yeah.
So she
I just turned
graduated.
43. Yeah, and she's 80. I'm 81.
Yeah, she born in 80, right. She graduated in 98. But, yeah, that's what, see, all about, a year apart then? Yeah.
Age-wise, yeah.
What-
She's, she was 2 classes a grade, but
What
it's her
month are you?
birthday. I'm November.
Okay, yeah. So you're not too far apart.
When's her birthday?
May of 8. She born May of 8.
Okay.
May 24th.
Well, it's just it's so weird to me to see, because I know I've got friends who have grandkids. Like Bron Obi is my age, and
Wow.
he's got grandkids.
That's crazy.
You know, and
Mike
it's just-
Edwards was the same way.
Yeah.
He and she was like 16 or something like that when they got married, and he was either in high school or right out of high school, and they immediately had a child. But then they had a child with the same type of thing, and
Yeah.
so when we were at Bob Clark way back then, I mean he had grandkids, and I was in my 30s thinking that's crazy. How can you have grandkids so early? But it's
Yeah.
really not.
Well,
that
Brad,
Well,
Brad Wetzel, same thing.
was it?
I mean,
Yeah, they had a child
Tammy,
in school, didn't they?
yeah, she was in 9th grade.
Tammy was.
Yeah. And then when Brad was a junior, when they got married.
well, if you look at the statistics, and you've probably seen this, from the 1700s until 1970, there are 20 years between every single generation.
Yeah.
It is 20 years up
Yeah.
until the 70s, and then it starts creeping up.
Yeah.
And now it's about 30 when people are having their first kid, on average.
That's wild.
Wow.
A little lower. I was 28 when Max was born, though, which is 8 years younger than.
Yeah,
you know.
Crystal waited a while too. Because her oldest is only 12.
Really?
So Marley and Cortland, 10 and 12.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So that's even younger than Max. So yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't have to, because back then you needed help on the farm. You needed,
oh sure.
right? Like at some generation in our past, you needed to have kids to help keep
Sure.
the family
He
going.
Yeah.
had lots of help, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, there was only 6 of us that came to Arkansas, but
6
still.
of it, and how many bedrooms in that house?
that was it was a 2-bedroom when Melson had it. Then he enclosed that back porch
Right.
into a bedroom. Kind of enclosed it. You still had like the plastic windows or whatever. But anyway, no heat and air. Of course, the house, I didn't have central heat and air till like late 80s.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when we moved in, it was basically 3-bedroom, counting that enclosed
Yeah.
porch. So mom and dad slept in a 1-bedroom. Tony, Linda, and John all slept in that. I had a rollaway bed. I slept in the living room.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had to fold that puppy out every night, you know.
Yeah.
And then Jeff and Rudy slept in the back.
But y'all didn't know any different.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
we were poor when we moved there, and
Yeah.
we just living week to week. We didn't have much money, you know. That's why one reason, you know, Dad won't me play sports or nothing. I had to buy cleats and all that stuff, and they didn't have the extra money for that. So
should we talk about your son-in-law on the podcast?
Dan?
Daniel?
Sure. We can talk about Dan.
All right. What are your true feelings?
I'll tell you
I put
what.
you on the spot.
No, I tell you, I adore him.
Do you?
He's a good guy. Things change, you know. When he first got married to Crystal, I guess they've been married, 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
And he was young, and he just like he worked different jobs. He would install floors and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, he's really changed into a good man. Well, he's always been a good man, but I mean, like me, when I got married, I was young and naive and immature. Dan has really poured it on. He's very knowledgeable now, and he's a contractor.
Yeah.
So he's gotten into big jobs. He's doing, commercial and doing homes and stuff. So he don't even lay floors. He don't want to do that. You got to get on your knees, you know. But I'm proud of him because I got these two beautiful granddaughters who I just love.
Good.
And he's done a good job with Crystal, and he takes good care of Crystal. So I'm happy.
Good.
You know.
How you
Well, I
doing,
think
Brad?
he'd better. Probably wouldn't still be
school?
around.
Oh,
They went to school.
He's a couple years younger than me.
and what's his last name?
Patrick.
Patrick. He's, Crystal is 98. He would have been like 01 or 02. He was a year or two behind me.
Yeah. So y'all played sports together, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I knew him well.
he changed a lot, you know.
Yeah.
But he's really matured, is what I say. And like me, I had to too, you know.
You had to have been an intimidating father-in-law to come around, I'm sure.
I mean, I don't think so.
Did you have the shotgun pointed at him, or were you just polishing it when he came in?
Tell him that story.
About the Crystal having the boys over? Oh, boy.
I don't know if you ought to tell that one, if that's the one I'm thinking of.
You don't have to use any names or anything.
So we had the house. It was something we lived on Neal Street with the indoor pool.
Yeah.
We built that house on Neal Street. Had an indoor swimming pool. I don't know, just one of these crazy things I want to do. So here's our bedroom over here. Then you got to go out these French doors, and it's a pool, which I'm amazed the kids didn't drown. You got to go around the pool, and there was their two bedrooms way on the other side of the house, you know. And all the it's glass all the way around this thing. Had glass, you know, you can see everything. So
And he intentionally built this house to where those kids were so far away,
Right.
they couldn't hear what was going on in the other part of the house.
they were so far away, and they might drown. So, oh man, it was a Saturday night or something, and
Your arm was broken. Is after that horse ride?
was it?
Yeah, you had a broken arm.
I can't hardly remember, but is that when what was it? Somebody Deb seen somebody walking across the back. Is that when I ran around and jumped through the window?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so anyway,
They've got to clarify all these stories. There's
No,
so
I had-
many
I had a
stories.
gun in my hand. I was in my undies. So anyway,
right.
You had a freaking shotgun.
Deb said, I seen two black guys walking across the back there. I said, no way. In our yard? This is like midnight. No, you didn't. She goes, yeah. Right back there. She's shaking, you know, she's scared. So boy, I grabbed my gun and I went out that back door. And I'm creeping up to the edge of the house. And I'm thinking the whole time, oh my God, this is the kid's side. Crystal's room is on that side.
Right.
So I just said, heck, I whipped it around the corner and aiming, you know, I don't see nothing. So all of a sudden I see her curtains blowing out. Her bedroom window's open, the curtains blowing. I freaked out. I just thought the worst, that those guys had gotten in there in her room. So I'm in, like I said, in my undies with a gun. I just made a big circle and ran and just dove through that window. It's pitch dark in there.
And rolled.
I just dove there and rolled.
You're like John McClane
Oh,
and Die
yeah.
Hard, like just rolling through windows.
And I had this gun up. I couldn't see a thing. So
Oh,
I
my-
reached up and flipped the light on.
Right?
And when I did, I had this gun barrel right in that kid's face.
Oh my
And
God.
he was, eyes were this big, and he was shaking. There was two of them.
Yeah, I'd
And I
be
just
shaking too, man.
And I said, what are y'all doing in here? What are you doing? Crystal had a friend over. You know her. She lived right in front of us, Amber. But anyway, she was spending the night. And they invited those two boys over.
So they decided to come in through the window.
Yeah, they've crossed the field. They walked across the field. So anyway, I got them guns pointed out. I said, what are you doing here? And I was all mad. Crystal's yelling at me, Dad, they're friends. They're friends of ours. said, what in the heck are you doing, Crystal? Inviting these kids over in the middle of the night. I said, where are you from, boy? He said, he couldn't hardly talk. He was just shaking.
Yeah, you had a damn
I had it
gun
right
pointed
on.
at him.
And he goes, I live in Fayetteville. I said, well, what are you doing here? And I said, where's your car? How did you get here? He goes, my dad dropped me off. Boy, I grabbed Crystal's phone. And I popped and I said, you call your dad right now. I want to talk to him. So he did. And I got on there. I said, did you drop these boys off over here on the street? He goes, yeah. I said, you get your butt back over and pick them up. Right where you dropped them off. And I just hung up. So I sent them boys packing across the field. Oh, man.
You remember that kid?
Crystal was
peed
embarrassed.
in his pants?
Yeah.
He was
that
so
one,
scared?
Yeah, he couldn't. This is one that couldn't talk. He just going. I asked him questions. He's going. And he wound up peeing in his pants. But they deserved it.
Well, I mean,
Breaking in my house, man.
I mean,
It's been more than 7 years,
come
right?
in the
Yeah.
I'm pretty lucky myself, probably not getting shot a couple times when I was in high school.
I thought it was somebody breaking in the house. So.
Well, no, yeah, obviously. You got any stories like that, Rick?
I don't think so. No, I can't match that. I can't follow that at all.
Man. Well, I mean, we did the same thing when we were kids, me and Deb, you know, and getting caught in her house with her dad. You know, it happened.
You guys used to pull the blanket trick, didn't you? And watch it. Well, did y'all even have TV back in your day, Mark? I don't know.
Yeah,
But we
they were
used to-
like 4 feet deep.
Oh, yeah.
They were like a box, 4x4.
Yeah, piece
I
of
remember
furniture.
going over to a girlfriend's house one time, and we were all watching the movie, and the dad just goes, "No blankets." I was like, "Oh man, that son of a bitch."
So we were, one night, Barbara, for some reason, gets up and comes back in the bedroom and says, Brad's gone. I think he's been kidnapped. This is when we lived on Rays Mill Road.
Yeah.
And so,
Yep.
really? And so I get up and go look, and I'm looking around. Of course, Brad's not there. He's obviously gone. And I said, if he's kidnapped, they gave him time to put his shoes on. Because they're missing too. So, anyway, he had a girlfriend that lived on the other side of the highway at the time. And so I got in my car and I
Over
went,
in South Winds on Killdeer
yes.
Road.
I went out and drove around. In fact, I pulled up and knocked on the door, and Dad came to the house, and I said, I'm looking for my son. If you say, oh, no, well, my daughter's in there asleep. Yeah, he hasn't been here. You sure? Yeah.
Better
Anyway,
go check.
So I leave and go back home and park the car, and anyway, then I sit out. Where was I sitting? I was sitting on the porch.
Well, let me tell my side of the story. I see headlights coming up in her bed, and I'm like, who is this pulling into your driveway? That's my dad. I got to get out of here. So I jump out the window and just start hauling ass. And I mean, I was in high school track, and, you know, I was just booking through South Winds, hoping I could get home before he did. And I get home, and he's sitting on the front porch.
I'm just waiting on him. I see
Yeah.
him come and
Just
run
went for
out
a
of the.
walk.
Yeah, he's like, what are you doing out there? I was like, man, I just couldn't sleep. I just went for a jog. And he goes, why are your pants on backwards?
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, but Barbara still brings that up about being kidnapped. You know,
That's funny.
I thought he was kidnapped. She never dreamed at that time. You know, we learned later on that he would do something.
Boys are still boys in the 1990s.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. I think mamas don't want to realize that once boys hit puberty, there's one thing on their minds.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
they've never been a boy. So,
Well,
some of them. But your mom's
well,
never been
this
a
is
boy.
2024. It's
Yeah.
a different world.
Yeah. I don't
But
wanna pass
back
judgment.
then, once boys hit puberty, they had one thing on their mind. And
Oh, yeah.
if I was Mark in his situation, I'd done the same damn thing.
Me and Billy's had contests.
Of
Who was with the most girls?
no shit, I would have never won
You
that.
can't
I
count.
remember that being a contest. Mark would set me up with girls. We'd go on double dates, and the girl I'd be with saying, "Damn, I wish I was with him."
Yeah, right. We would
Have you ever thought about running for congressional office, like state Congress?
never.
That'd be work.
Don't you think he could?
I would hate to be in politics.
Probably like Limbaugh.
Yeah, I
did.
watch
he'd
it
be
and
good
I,
at it.
and I pay attention to what they're doing, but that'd be a lot of pressure.
A lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of time.
The topic of conversation was grandkids. Were you done with your answer?
I don't even remember what I was saying. So yeah,
You don't remember the question?
We're done. What's the difference for you
Oh man,
with grandkids versus your own?
big difference. I mean, when Crystal was born, I watched her come out, and I just thought it was amazing. And I just go, "Wow, I'm a dad, and I'm proud of it." And I'd go around telling everybody, handing out cigars, And I was just like real proud of being a dad.
Yeah.
Again, immature and naive at that age. And then when my grandkids were born, my first granddaughter,
Yeah.
it was so emotional for me.
More
I just,
so than when Crystal was
big
born.
time.
Really?
Yeah, and I hate to admit that, but because I just adore Crystal and Justin, I love them. But that grandchild is just so different. That's just a whole different feeling. You're a grandpa. I just kept saying, "Man, I'm a grandpa." Well, I got very emotional about it, and I just held that baby and held on to it and cuddled it, and
I love that you admit that you're an emotional man. I'm an emotional man. I appreciate that. Men need to be proud of being emotional, man.
It was
no shame in it.
It's just 100% different. With Crystal, I just kind of took it for granted. I didn't hold on to her and hug her and all that.
Yeah.
I went and passed out cigars and went back to work.
Yeah.
But
Just you had changed.
But you're in a different
that
spot.
happened.
You're in
Yeah.
a different
That
place
happened,
in
you
your
would
life.
change.
You've got to provide for your family, right? Like you got to
Yeah.
make sure they're taken care of. Your job is number one right now.
yeah.
You got to make sure. Yeah.
And like Rick says, different place in my life. I grew up more,
Yeah.
And the kids
Absolutely.
they mean so much to me, I'm just so proud of them, It's
Does Justin have kids?
yeah, he's got 4.
No.
So I got 6 grandkids, yeah.
Oh my God.
Justin's got
I
4.
didn't realize it. So he was so much younger than Crystal. I didn't know him
Yeah.
going to school. I worked with some guys that knew him, like Wes Long.
Oh, yeah.
Like Wes Long was
I
within
coached
that.
all them boys in 4th grade football.
You coached elementary football?
Yeah. Me and Wes Doss, you know who Wes Doss is?
No.
He's an attorney. You know Jacob Doss? No, he was younger too. Anyway, in
when
4th
did
grade.
You started coaching Justin's football team?
Yeah,
In 4th grade?
yeah. I wanted just to be doing things like going back to that, doing stuff with him and
Yes.
stuff. But Doss asked me if I wanted to, and I coached his basketball. Me and Doss were assistant coaches on basketball.
Were you really?
But see, in 4th grade, now they didn't have regular coaches to coach their. They didn't have football team.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is now.
Well,
I
it's
think
still
it
the
didn't
same
start
thing
till
up
6.
until 7.
Is it really?
Well, I coached Walt's.
So
6th
they didn't
grade
have
team.
regular school coaches. So they would form teams. Like Farmington had 4th grade
Yeah.
team. We'd play Fayetteville 4th grade team and Lincoln. We traveled
Yeah.
locally, but it was cool. And and me and Doss were the coaches.
So you got 6. So Crystal's got 2 daughters.
Crystal's got 2.
And what does Justin have?
Justin and Whitney wanted to have a baby so bad, so they had a little boy. He's 6 now, and then
Okay.
so they wanted a little girl, and they couldn't have a baby. They tried and tried. Well, so they were going to do this what is it called? What do you call
In
that?
vitro.
In vitro fertilization.
Yeah, so they thought about trying that.
Is that IVF?
Well,
Same, yeah.
So they wanted a little girl, so they decided before the in vitro they would adopt.
I'm glad that's off camera because I thought you were gonna. Go ahead, Mark.
So they put themselves in for adoption because they didn't think they're going to be. The doctor actually told Whitney, because of your condition or whatever, you're not going to be able to have another baby.
Right.
You just it ain't gonna happen. We can go ahead and take some eggs and stuff like that, but
yeah.
you won't be able to have a baby. So they looked at adoption. They adopted the sweetest little girl. Her name is Silva, at 1 day old. So that's their second child, and she's just a beautiful little girl. Well, within like 6 months after they adopted her, she got pregnant.
No shit.
She had another girl, and then after she got pregnant after that,
Yeah.
so they just had a little baby about 2 years ago. So they got 4. They got 3 girls and 1 boy. Matter of fact, I got 6 grandkids and only 1 grandson. But yeah, they wound up with 4 after all that.
I've heard lots of stories about people that do that. They'll adopt.
Yeah.
They can't have babies.
Yes.
And once they adopt, they have,
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. I guess it relieves the pressure of the
it's just-
stress.
I've heard the best cure for infertility is fertility. If you can have that first one,
Yeah.
then it just,
Yeah.
it just. What about you, Rick? You've got grandkids through
Yeah.
your wife now, so
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They don't know any different. I've known them
How
their
do
whole
you
life.
treat them differently than you would of your kid? Like, what was the difference there?
It's a lot easier. I mean, I still have a lot of the same standards that I want a child to hold up to. You know, I mean, I hold them.
You want to be an
behavior.
influence.
I
You still want to be
them
part
behave.
of
Yeah,
that
that's-
relationship. Absolutely,
sure,
yeah.
Sure. I want to make them behave and do all the stuff. I don't want to completely spoil them, but by the same token, when it comes to giving them something they want or something like that, that's one thing as a father I didn't do very much. It was very rare that we put a quarter in a gumball to get a gumball out because
You're a lot
I'll buy you a whole
stingier
pack
as a
of gum.
parent.
Yeah, I'll buy you a whole pack of gum when we get to the
Trying to
store.
teach it.
I don't
Dad,
want to
what
do it
you?
I don't
That
know.
was the most distracting return.
Thank you. I worked hard at it.
It looked like you did. We can't even have a conversation over here because of all this.
Good.
I think we need to show the shirt again, Mark. I think we need to show that one more time.
Show it one more time.
Yeah,
All right.
We gotta show
What's
this.
amazing is of course I got it dirty because I used to wear this a lot, but this thing's 46
Oh, so you
years.
did actually wear that?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I worked in it.
Because it looks a little threadbare.
Yeah, well, 46 years, it's holding up well. I don't want to pull it too hard; it might fall apart.
Yeah.
But old Bill, he looks pretty good on it. Kind of looks like a thug there. And Jake just looks like an old hippie.
I look like I've been taken hostage by two drug dealers.
Yeah. He's pleading for help in that look.
So, do we want to tell why we even went there? Or?
Well, you guys went over that last
I
time.
don't know. Yeah, I guess we did. I just think it's funny how we're talking about it, and I'd never heard of anything like that. And I said, no way, bull baloney. I can tell the difference.
You know how I saw
And we
it.
bet and we took off. Yeah, you're on vacation.
But no, my mom and dad took us down there on vacation. And we stayed in the French Quarter. And so after we did going up, the daytime stuff going down the French Quarter, mom and dad said, we're going to the bars. You guys stay
Have
here
fun.
and whatever. And I said, well, I want to go. Okay, come on. Mom, who my mom and dad were.
Sure.
So I was 18, I guess, or 17. I must not have been 18. Probably
No,
was
yeah, you were.
what?
You were 18.
Well, when
I'm
we went
almost
down.
afraid to.
But
Yeah, we were.
did
No, let's see. Yeah, I was 19 when we were
If you
down there.
want.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
anyway,
Yeah, we were both 19.
Mom
We
and
were only
dad,
2 days apart.
they're the ones that took me to that bar. Anyway,
Oh, I
that-
thought, okay.
they took me. I went to several bars with them, and then at some point I said, "Hey, I'm going to go back to my room," and then I went off by myself for a long time, and finally made it back to the room about 3:00 in the morning,
Wow.
and they were already back.
And you were about 15, 16?
No, he was 18.
You were 18?
18, but I mean that's a pretty rough place to be.
Well, yeah.
At 3 a.m. in the morning.
sure.
Even back then, I can't imagine
Yeah.
letting your kid go off and. But.
Because, see, I graduated in May of 78. I started working at packaging, and then later that year, so it was like, we were already 19 by then. We turned 19. I'm 3 days older than Bill.
What month did we go down there?
I don't remember the month, but Loisel had already moved to New Orleans, and it
Yeah.
was probably, it
Yeah.
wasn't too cold. I'm thinking it was like
Wait.
September,
So your birthday's what, May?
March 29th.
Yeah, duh.
And he's
March
April
comes
Fool's.
before April. Wow, no kidding, you're 3 days older?
Yeah,
That's wild.
but same year, and just
Knew
I'm
that.
March 29th. He's April 1.
Never knew that.
Mark calls me for my birthday every year, and then I'll say, "Oh yeah, and happy
Happy
late
birthday,
to you,
yeah.
too."
Happy late birthday.
Oh, the only reason I remember is because my cousin's birthday's on April Fool's Day too.
Yeah.
So this is on April Fool's Day.
How old's your cousin?
He's exactly 1 year younger than you.
Well, good, because I always
To the
tell
day.
people that they started that holiday when I was the day. I was born.
Right.
Rick might actually know the origin of that holiday. Do you?
Boy, I just... I don't know. Don't know where that came from.
How about "Don't look a gift horse in the mouth"? Where'd that come from?
I guess I know that one either. I'm
What's it
still-
like watching grandkids race motorbikes? You gotta be.
There's a good one.
It's really cool. I mean, you watch the different attitudes on the two.
Did Jonathan race a lot? Did
Yeah.
he? Did he?
He did. He got to where he's a pretty good rider. He got to where he
Yeah.
was outrunning me for a little while.
Was
but
he?
In the woods or on a track?
probably in the woods. I mean, it had to be
Wow.
his kind of. If it was really tough conditions, I was faster than he was. But if it were like Stillwater, places where he liked, where it was smooth and fast, he could put it on me then when he was a senior in high school. But then he quit. He went to university and just gave it up completely. All that. But where was I going with that?
Well, we was talking about Oakley and
yeah.
And the little dude riding. What's the little dude's name?
Case.
Case
is the youngest. He's 6, and he's on a little 50cc bike. But Case has just a genetic mentality. I mean, to go. They're both good riders and everything, but they're totally different in that Oakley's not in a hurry. She's methodical. She can look at it and make it happen, and she's 10 years old on a 65, and she's ridden we went to a national enduro in Missouri, and her 2 tests that she rode on Saturday were 2 5-mile long test sections, and it was the same 2 that I did the next morning, and they were pretty gruesome, some of it. Well, she's soldiered right through it, but she's not in a hurry. She hadn't really figured out that racing's about being in a hurry. But Case can. Case is, his mind is working. You can always see a lot of things just come naturally to him.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it comes from, just his dad and grandpa and everything like that.
So his dad rides?
Yeah, his dad's a real natural rider, and he's boogered up right now. Last race at Stillwater, he dislocated his shoulder and tore a muscle back there, so he's walking around in a sling now. So
you're kind of lucky to be walking.
Yeah, I'm sure that luck had a lot to do with it. I mean,
Rick didn't crash much.
That's part of it too. Is I ride a lot more like Jonathan or Oakley.
Hey, tell that
instead of
that. Well, sure, but he rides with an open face helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've seen some pictures of him out there.
Yeah.
I was out there with him one day. I wasn't with you, but we were out there and you doing the hair scramble.
And we were
Where was that? It wasn't Pettigrew. It was no, out there by where you live.
Mill Creek.
Yeah, Mill Creek.
Yeah, I was hanging arrows if I remember right.
We come up on 4th. Didn't even know you was having a race out there. And there you are standing in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, I think we were having an ARMA ISTT reunion ride, one of the old antique bikes.
Okay.
Antique rider deals.
Like Mike Parker
does. Yeah. Yeah, this was more like an enduro where you made a big loop through the forest and came back.
Yeah.
Parker's got his motocross and cross country there.
But I wasn't trying to get you off subject there.
Oh no, there's no off subjects. We're just going around the horn.
Before I forget this, so Mark and I went to race a hair scramble down in Fort Smith.
Oh,
bring that mic in,
Ben Gary.
Dad.
That was embarrassing.
Yeah, Ben Garen Park. Well, I don't remember how the race ended up, but the embarrassing part. So tell them what happened, Mark. You know where I'm going with this.
Well, I crashed.
Wow.
Yeah,
you moved that forward 2 full inches.
Yeah, I know. It's great.
What part are you getting at?
What happened to you that we had to take you to the hospital?
Oh, well, this track for some reason washed out. It must have rained a bunch or something. We had to go down through this creek and then up the other side, this embankment. And this thing was like as tall as your ceiling. I'm thinking, I didn't know what I'm doing. How will I do it? Well, the first time I hit it wide open. I just bounced right over it. And I guess it went around it again. But anyway, next time I come through there, it was bottlenecked. There was bikes everywhere.
Yeah.
It gotten a lot muddier and a lot worse. And they were laying everywhere and all that. Of course, here I am running last. Well, I hit it, and that bike went straight up, and the air just spun out on me. And I landed flat on my back, and that thing come down, and I landed right on my nuts. And oh man, it about turned me inside out.
Oh God!
It hurt bad. Well, I had to go to the hospital. I had to get in the ambulance.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You in the ambulance? Barbara and I took you.
Was it you?
Yeah.
I don't remember how I got there. It was bad.
We went there together, but
okay.
You came to me and you said, "Bill, I need to go to the hospital." I said, "Why?" You said, "My nuts." I said, "What about them?" Well, they're up inside
They're
of me.
gone.
But what was funny is we get
terrible.
to the story you told about being in the hospital. You remember they they put you up on one of these tables and flipped it up and
Oh,
you're completely naked?
That happened in Kentucky when I wrecked that motorcycle going down the highway. That wasn't that wreck at that Fort Smith.
That's right. You were wheeling that.
Yes.
This is a whole different wreck.
I was in Kentucky visiting.
right.
That wasn't far from my motocross days, and one of my brother-in-law's friends pulls up on a brand new Yamaha 465, and he had it in the back of his truck, and he said, "Man, I bought this bike," and he goes, "I can't ride. I'm scared of it." He goes, "I can't ride it." First time I just got on, tried to go real slow, and it won't go slow. It just keeps jumping up.
Really?
And all this, so he just couldn't do it. And I don't know what. So my brother-in-law said, "Hey, let Mark ride it. He'll show you how to ride that thing."
Yeah.
He used to motocross race and stuff. So I'm out there. I didn't have a shirt on, nothing. I had a pair of shorts on.
Why are you not wearing a shirt?
Summertime, it's hot.
Okay.
We're all out there drinking beer.
Ladies
with
outside
no shirts.
watching you. Yeah, I get
Oh,
it.
we're all. It's shop time. I had a mechanic shop. Just a bunch of dudes,
Yeah,
drinking beer. And
alright.
it was 90 degrees. So we unload the bike, and I get on it, and I take off, ripping down the highway, right down the middle of the highway. It's right on the highway. This thing. And I got used to the gears, and I thought, I'm going to ride a wheelie bastard going back. So I hit it second gear, and when that thing went up for a wheelie, I mean, it just shot to the sky. It's like it shot out from under me. Hit his power band right there, and laid me on my back. I slid down the highway.
Oh my god.
Oh, it just ripped my back up. Oh, it was hurting bad.
Shit.
I thought it was bad. I thought it was worse than it was. So they come and got me, took me to the hospital there. Owens Hospital, little hospital. It's a little town.
Yeah.
Of course, my sister's in there, and she knows all these nurses, We'll take care of your little brother, and this and that. They get me in there on this table, and I said, take all your clothes off. Of course, my pants were about shredded. Take your clothes off and lay on this table, All right. So I'm laying there, and they come in there and start strapping me down. I'm thinking, what the hell? Aren't you going to give me a blanket or something? They said, yeah, we're going to do these vertical x-rays first. We got to do your back and your chest. You sound rough. So here they go with this thing. You start raising the table up like Frankenstein. And it's just perfectly, like I'm standing straight up and down, but I'm strapped on this thing.
And you're completely
And I'm naked.
You're naked.
And it's cold in there. All of a
That's
sudden-
why it's shriveled up. Okay,
Right.
now I get it.
So this side door pops open. These two girls come in and go, hey, Janet. And they got Twinkies and stuff. I said, hey, you ready to go? You ready to go on break? She goes, I don't know. I got to get these x-rays done. So I can probably be in there. Yeah, so-and-so did this and that. And I'm standing right in front of them. They're just right there carrying on a conversation.
Jesus.
And I said, are you? And then on top of that, they left the door open. It's a break room. They're all in there, like, looking. It was very embarrassing. So anyway, I said, really? I said, come on. So they finally left, and she did her x-rays. And, when I got out of there, I told my sister, I said, don't believe any of the stories you hear.
Damn. You
But
got to get ahead of that, Mark.
I had some cracked ribs and stuff. They bundled me up, and like I looked like a mummy. But I drove home. I had a van, me and Tony and Deb.
I thought you were going to say you went back down and showed them how to wheelie.
Right. No, I didn't do that again. I was on the pavement. That was just stupid to do that. Oh, tore the guy's bike up. I had to buy. My brother-in-law fixed it, but I had to buy the parts, and a fender and some stuff like that.
What was the situation where we had one of Mark's bikes at our house?
Oh,
when
yeah.
I whiskey throttled it and ran it into the fucking
I don't remember
wall.
why
Oh,
we
thanks,
had
Bill.
that.
You never told me about that one.
Oh, is he not?
I don't remember. I picked your bike up for something anyway, we had it at our house over on Ray's Mill over there, and I was trying to show Brad how to ride it, and stupidly, instead of me having the bike facing away from the house, it was facing towards the house.
Oh no!
So when he got on, instead of what do you call it when somebody dumps the clutch and
Whiskey throttle?
a whiskey throw? Okay, yeah, we didn't have that name for it back then, but anyway, he whiskey throw the thing goes up on him and he heads right into the house. Bam!
Oh
to
man!
the side of that brick house.
Was it a two-stroke bike? Was it very powerful?
I don't remember. I think
Well,
it was a
that was the
Kawasaki.
first time I got on a motorcycle. The second one was recently at your place with. This is why I don't trust Brad or Wes anymore.
Can't believe you ever did.
Well, I never should have in the first place, but Brad put me on some thing, and I whiskey throttled it, and that was enough for me. I don't have the adrenaline junkie thing that you guys and Theo have. I don't want to die on them.
I'm not near the risk takers I used to be, just because I don't want to break anything, you know.
Yeah, you're comfortable now.
You
got
break,
money now, man.
If you break something now, it affects you for the rest of your life. I mean, we're getting old. It don't heal as easy.
Yeah, you're comfortable, man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel great. I just don't want that to go away, you know.
Yeah,
I don't want to ruin it by a crash or something.
What are you still doing?
Oh, I mean, I was just going to follow in on that conversation. I mean, anything can happen anytime, but you got to be careful. And if you learn to be careful at a young age, you know.
But what is it you love about it so much?
Adrenaline.
For me, well, I mean, not even so much adrenaline. It's machine operation is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, like playing basketball, making that 3-pointer. You know, I mean, it's making this happen.
But you follow it from ground level all the way. Like, you know how to fix every one of these machines. Like, you know how they work, how they operate.
Yeah.
Anything goes wrong with one of those machines, you understand it start to finish.
Sometimes.
It's
but,
kind of a unique.
But as far
place
as
to
the riding
be in.
itself goes, I mean, that's just something I just never have gotten over the love of operating that machine.
Yeah.
You know, like playing a guitar. You know, you're mastering, your timing has to be right, your memory has to be just right, everything. And riding motorcycles a lot the same way. You just go into that corner and you can still be careful and back it in and get on the gas and power out of it.
But even no matter how careful you are, you're still at some point you're going to have a wreck.
Sure.
There's no way around it.
Absolutely.
The worst enemy is probably the other people, you know, that can't see you on a motorcycle.
Well, on a street bike.
Street bike, but even on dirt, if you're on a dirt road, I mean, it could be bad.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the track, I know.
Yeah, I'm talking about racing in general, but
I'm talking to a mama who says, "When's he gonna get in a wreck?" And I was like, "I don't know, but he will."
Yeah.
I can't. She's like, I just don't want him to get in a wreck, and I'm like, I can't guarantee that he's gonna get in a wreck.
and so much of it depends on him. It's what I tell all the kids is if you can visualize yourself doing what you're thinking about doing, and you can see yourself doing it and successfully doing it, then give it a go.
Demonstrated success.
Yeah, and that's what.
And you're a really good teacher too, Rick. Man, if you could team up with Mark, who knows how to make money, and you know how to teach, that kind of stuff. Y'all ought to team up on some businesses. I got a really good printer. You need a what?
Oh, I don't want to say that out loud. I got a good printer.
He prints money.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sarcasm.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to go, boys. I've enjoyed the heck out of this.
Where are you going?
Going to the house. It's my bedtime.
Man, what a loser. He had to kill the whole thing. We were all having a good time. Mark killed it, but we had a good time anyway.
You guys please keep going.
No.
I'm going to go.
No, my kids are home. I got to go see them.
We got to go out to Rick's. Your season's over now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, we got Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, but we got to figure out a week this fall
Theo
or
wants to talk to
sometime
you
this
tonight.
winter that we can go out there and take trailers out there and camp and
ride around or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if side by sides or
a lot of things to do.
Rick's got about 30 motorcycles out there.
I always feel like we could go 2 more hours, but Mark's always got to be somewhere. So,
thank you, buddy.
He's an important
hey,
guy.
I love you, man.
You too, Brad. I enjoyed it, man. Good job.
Thank you.